All right, welcome back. We are back, D&J Podcast. E Nice is in the building. How are you doing, Big J? Big J's here.
What's going on, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. How you doing?
Hot as hell.
Yeah, I hate the muggy weather, man. It's the worst. For us big folk, it's the worst. You know what I'm saying? I hate it when it's muggy.
But you know what?
It's been cooling down with the rain, but then the rain comes back, and it makes it even more hotter and more stickier. I hate it. I hate it. We got a special guest with us tonight. Big Sean's in the building. Big Sean, what up?
What's good? What's good? What's good?
How you doing, man?
How are you doing? Good.
All right, our other special guest for the night is the one and only Pop Dukes.
Hey, how we doing today, folks? How are you?
So,
How you doing, Pop?
Hey, doing good. Thank you very much. I am pleased to be here.
Now, for those of you out there, Pop is what we call our father.
Right.
We don't say dad. We don't say father. That's what we grew up with. This is what we grew up with. Everybody's different.
We don't call him daddy. So.
Yeah. That just be weird. With today's world, that's just weird. Daddy? That's just weird. It just doesn't sit right,
So
you know?
when we say pop, we mean refer to our father.
Yes, yeah. Because everybody's different. Families are different, you know. Sean, what about you? What did you do?
What'd you call your father?
Again, every family's different, so nothing's wrong.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really. I usually by his name, either Mo or I'll just say.
You call your father by your first name?
Or something in Portuguese, you know.
You call your father by your first name?
No, I couldn't call him Juan when I was little. It doesn't sound right.
You might get hit. That's why.
They want him hungry. It sounds mad weird.
Yeah, you have a black eye.
He calls me, I don't call him. So.
No, I'm not doing that.
And what's the word for pop in Portuguese?
For dad.
For dad?
I mean, I guess you could use pai, the P-A-I. That's what they call it for father.
Okay.
But you could have one where it's more. You're speaking to someone older than you. There's different ways to say it.
Different versions. Different versions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lem.
No,
Only
take
we-
that
only
back.
we know who
No,
that is.
no.
But today's show's gonna be a special one, man. We're talking
Yes,
about
it's that
something
time of
that
the
we've
year.
been doing for us more than 10 years. My father more than 20. I mean, I don't know if
Sean about the same thing, right? About 10, 20 years?
We're talking about
Fantasy football, yeah.
Oh yeah, fantasy. I
Fantasy
think I
football
started
is
in
big. We're in our little circle. Fantasy football is really big.
Oh, we
And
love it.
My father has put us on there with the fact that I can't watch football. I can't go a year without playing fantasy. Because if not, I won't watch football.
Yeah, it's just different.
It's
Without,
different. You watch different teams different. You watch players different.
yeah, you'll watch the Browns versus the Lions on a Monday night just
Yes.
because you got a running back
It
going.
makes you watch preseason too, which is freaking weird. But
Yeah.
you end up watching it anyway.
Yeah, because you got to get ready for the regular season, see who's good, who's not good, so you know who to draft. So, yeah, I remember quick story before we even get into it. When we first brought Sean into the league, everybody was like, "Who the hell is this guy taking all these good players, sneaky picks?" I don't even know.
I remember that day I hated you.
Yeah.
I hated you that day.
Yeah, we do a lot of recon. I mean, when I first started playing fantasy, it was probably like 2003. We used to go to the public library in Windsor on NFL.com. And it
Oh,
was free.
that was the
and
bomb
we
right there.
Young kids with no
you and your
money.
brother-
We were just playing for
I
fun.
remember that you and your brothers just got these picks where I laugh at you on the low, and then when you beat me with that bill, I'm like, excuse me.
Honestly, my brother has a better track record than me. So.
Yeah, you guys have
I've been doing
Well,
decent.
Pop, you've been playing for over 20 years.
been doing it for a while. For some time, I remember before all this computer technology has come into play. I mean, we used to do. We would grab the USA Today and manually have to enter a ticket to our commissioner of what our points were according to the USA Today, and then we had to submit that, and the commissioner had to approve it before we would approve these points, which is way different than now.
So
now,
commissioners back then was a full-time job.
It
was a full-time job.
It was a job. It was a job.
Now it's just like, let me make sure everything's good, make sure all the rules are set.
You're a commissioner. Right?
Yeah.
You gotta tell me.
I've heard stories about looking at the newspaper, drafting Troy Aikman and drafting Joe Montana from my buddy's uncle.
Yeah.
Looking at the paper for stats too.
Yeah, for stats.
So that kind of sucks because then, how do you keep track? Like back in those days, how do you, we say that back in those days like it's a long time ago? It's only the 90s, you know? It's only the late 90s. But how do you keep track during the day? So you're just surprised the next day when the paper comes out. That's it?
Yeah. Well, the USA Today had.
Because there wasn't no NFL Network or Red Zone back then. So
everything, whatever was
you
printed.
just saw two TVs, two shows.
Yes.
CBS and Fox, mostly, or NBC. and then the Sunday night game.
Yeah. So the
And
USA
then you just going off those 3 games?
base whatever the USA Today printed, because that was the only paper that would print all stats for every game. It was only the USA Today. It was not the Hartford Courant. It was not any other newspaper. So we had to buy that paper, literally sit down, and we had to put our points literally based on what was on the paper on a ticket and give it to the commission for him to put into
That
the.
seems like a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I mean, fantasy football was in its infancy. It was all.
Yeah, it was just starting out.
It was just starting out, so it was all a format. You had to follow the format, and if anything was in dispute, you literally had to go back to that newspaper and point it out to the commissioner. This is what I saw versus what you saw.
Yeah.
So if the game was on Sunday, and then the Monday night game, by Thursday it had to be finalized before going into the next week. So it was a lot. It was a lot.
So how were the standings kept? Like where was like on a whiteboard somewhere? Where was that put? But there's no online server for it or nothing.
The commissioner had to, no matter what, follow it. However, he deemed it was worthy to follow. So all your points had to go through as this is what he said, this is what I see, and that was it.
Yeah.
By Thursday, it was a done deal. If a point was missed here or there, by Thursday, it was missed.
So was there any waivers? Like how did that work?
Yeah,
No waivers. It was finalized by Thursday. That was it.
No, like picking up players, like free agent players.
Was the team you drafted the team you stuck with all year?
No, the draft was always live. You had to, because you couldn't do nothing
So we still do it to
on
this
the
day.
computer.
Big ups.
You had to do it live.
Cookout.
And then you had to go in and do your points, and then the picking up players was different. You know, you had to put it in via a piece of paper, just like getting your points, a piece of paper, and then and again the commissioner itself back in the day was so much more important because everything rolled on the commissioner. His decision was final. Because it was literally all a document. It was all a document.
So now, did you guys all have to live within the vicinity of each other? Because how did you give the paper to the commissioner? You
Yes.
had to drive across town, or
No, well,
what if you lived in a different town?
All you had to do was work with the commissioner. Let the commissioner deal with the rest. The commissioner had, by that time there were emails. There were
Okay, there were.
there was all that. But other than
Yeah, we're
that,
talking like it's the 80s or something.
it wasn't too
Yeah,
much.
dialogue,
I mean,
AOL,
there were a lot of discrepancies. There was a lot of winnings
I
where
bet.
it was discrepant. Like I should have won this, I should have won that. But it functioned and it worked. You know, if you play with good players in fantasy football,
Honest players.
you know, honest players and people that work good, you know, it works out. And technology has taken to a whole new level. Fantasy football now is billions of dollars.
Shout out to Rice Heads.
You know,
Yeah.
and I can't live without fantasy football right now.
Yeah,
It's funny how people just.
Shout out to the OG leagues.
Like,
You know, 2 jugs
back
of the
in the
guys.
day, you never saw the Detroit Lions versus the Browns. You never sit there and watch that game. But now, if you got Deshaun Watson and you got golf, now you can sit there and actually watch that game because it might mean something to him. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
fantasy
the
football's
way
the best.
that's just changed everything. Even DraftKings now, even the betting. The
Even,
gambling,
betting is
that's-
next.
Yes.
Betting is next
it's
with the
nuts, it's
NFL.
nuts.
Yeah.
It's
But
getting
now,
crazy.
This
People are
show
winning a lot of money.
is about how the gentleman in front of us, Mr. Sean, has an idea to do something I've never seen before, which he's going to explain it to us because I'm still not for it, but I'm going to let it ride. So I'm going to hand it over to Sean and let him break it down.
What do you have, sir?
So yeah, I want to make a big league. The only issue is that I like the ESPN format. And we did RT Sports in the past, you don't have to pay. So I would like, if I
Yes.
could have a big league, I would like to do 24 and have 2 sides of 12. The problem is the bigger leagues you get, then every team seems more, diluted because everybody wants like 10 Derrick Henrys in the team.
Yeah.
So most people want a 8 or 10-man pool because they want to have a super squad. On the other half, I want the people that want to do the homework. They want to look in the 10th round or 12th round and get that
Absolutely.
second string receiver,
Diamond
that
in the
third
rough.
string receiver, and that
Yeah, exactly.
one breakout game that you, like my cousin used to do. And you actually do the homework, you have the books, the papers, and you're looking out for those players on the rise, those players we're not thinking about, want people to do the grind, you know.
Yeah.
So originally, a really crazy idea I was thinking about would be almost kind of like wrestling. Every year if we can't do the same league, have a 24 pool in the same, which would be way too diluted. have divisions, 2 of 12,
Two
one pool of
conferences.
players for 12 and one pool of players for 12. And every year do like a lottery like wrestling does. Everybody gets drafted to a certain side, like you go Raw versus SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it's like you have a draft lottery, so you figure out which players and teams are in which conference. So it's like Johnny could be in AFC, and you could have Edison in NFC, and me and my brother could be in 2 different conferences, and everybody else in the league, and then every year it changes.
When you say that AFC, NFC, you can only draft players from the NFC.
No.
So
It's
not
just
as
a
player
conference
pool,
for us.
Or you're
just
just saying
names. The
general
team.
conference.
Yeah.
Just calling it that.
Yeah, general conference.
That's where
for
you
the
are
teams. So like we have the draft lottery, so you figure out what brand you're for as a conference. So like you have The Rock go to SmackDown, and then Stone Cold goes to Raw. Even though it's but you're not going to have you can only take Antonio Brown if you're in the AFC. No, not like that at all. But
Will there still be duplicate players or no?
so no, you would have duplicates, but each 12 team would have his own pool.
Yeah.
So you could have the finals where Hovey has Patrick Mahomes, and Lee also has Patrick Mahomes if one's AFC, one's NFC in those conferences. Or we could pick a different names for
Cancel out? Do
conferences.
the points cancel out?
In a sense, they would cancel out.
Yeah.
So there's some people
I'm sorry, but
not a
that's
fan of
But
that.
That's
again-
the one thing that bugs me is the fact that I can have Mahomes, and you can have Mahomes, and I can have Devontae, and you can have Devontae, and it won't mean shit because
In
it cancels
theory,
out.
yeah,
You know what I'm
but
saying?
it cancels out. So it's like
But that would only
if you have a
be
game
in the
where
Super
Mahomes
Bowl.
gets 50, yeah, it would only be the
Yeah,
Super
what is it?
Bowl.
I don't understand. What is that? Only in the Super Bowl.
Like how the AFC, NFC,
Right.
they only play the
So
Super
like
Bowl.
every year, you never have the the Seahawks play the Chiefs in the championship game because they're in different conferences.
Right.
Yes.
So you'd have, let's say we have a squad of 12 that's the
Oh,
AFC.
okay,
Let's
I
say
got it.
Edison wins the AFC and
Right.
Lee's in the NFC, and he wins. Then out of those conferences, they play each other in
See,
the real Super Bowl.
some reason
See,
I
what
know-
I liked about
I didn't
RT,
get it when you
what
said
I
it,
found
yeah.
out with RT Sports, even though you got to pay for it, which is the dumbest thing
Yeah.
ever. What I liked about it is you can only play your conference. So
Right.
if you're in the AFC, you can only play against AFC.
So there will only be one Patrick Mahomes.
Only be one
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, like a regular draft, like a
Okay,
regular
So
league.
it'll be like real NFL.
Yes.
Like,
So
And then the NFC, let's say if we call it that, we can call it East-West, we can call it North-South, whatever we want to.
South and yeah.
But
It came
and
up
the
with red
NFC
and blue, like,
will be one
fast
player
name.
pool, and only one team on the NFC would have Patrick Mahomes. Now, the only chance that those you have duplicate players would be in the Super Bowl.
Well, now it's slimmer than nothing.
After
Now
12, that's it.
If
So
they make
it's
it, if
slimmer
they
than
make
that.
it,
Yeah,
if they
exactly.
make it.
And you're talking all the player pools. There'll be a very small chance. That's why another year I changed to decimals, so we don't have ties, and you can still have a tie, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah, very.
So I changed from that
That's
to
what
get
I-
rid of the
that's
even.
not
So
true.
it'll be a small chance if you have someone else in the finals that somehow you have like 3 or 4 players exactly the same. You're talking two different sets of 12 with 200 players. The percentage will be very small, and like I said, it will cancel out. So if you both have Mahomes, if he gets 50 or 10, it's not going to matter. So the
Yeah, you don't
points
gotta
are
worry
equal
about
for
the
both
points.
sides.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier. Then you don't even think about it.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, well,
So
I
then
gotta
you-
hope that I have a certain receiver. He'd
Then
be
you
better than
strategize
his
the rest of the
next-
position.
This is why I use your ass here because I think he explained it the same way. I wasn't listening to it the way I'm listening to you.
Because he doesn't,
So
he doesn't
because-
listen to me.
because
That's
I'm
why.
thinking, okay, you can have somebody matched up with the same person on the same thing every week. So
No.
I'm thinking like every week you're gonna have.
We
Mahomes and
could
Mahomes.
have that. We could have the league jumbled up, so that could be more often than not.
So in
But
a perfect
I didn't
world,
want to do that,
I
Rob.
would like that, but the problem is the apps that support it. So there's another, I think it's called My Fantasy League, like MPL something. There's a site that does the same thing. RT Sports does this also. You need to pay, where they'll have a 24-team league, but 2 12s draft each pool, and they all play in games and stuff versus each other, like real NFL. To do it is, I want to have more teams, but not have. Because if you have one league that has 20 or 24 teams with the same pool, it's like if you would pick 21 the first round, you might get a decent player, and then you don't pick again until pick 60. At
Yeah,
the
it's
end of the
terrible.
draft, it's
Yeah,
like
that's rough.
you're going to have one Derrick Henry, and your
Yeah.
starting receiver is going to
Or
be
benchers,
like
third stringers.
you know,
Braxton Berrios, like
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
starter, yeah.
Chosen Anderson is your best receiver. So
Yeah.
it's too diluted.
It
It's not
makes
enough
sense.
talent.
So there'll be 2 separate drafts, and then what?
Yeah.
Merge the teams after. At the end of the
So
year?
basically, it would be basically you're running 2 separate leagues of 12, but then at the end, instead of them both having their own champions, the champions fight each other. So it's a way to pool the money together, but you keep all the players. The teams are not garbage. There's still a lot of talent, It'd be like real NFL. Like you have the AFC like in your division, you have 6 games a year, and it's like Dolphins are not playing Seahawks twice a year. You know, even if they play that conference, they play only a few teams. So, you know,
it makes more sense you're breaking it down like that. So
in a sense, I want to take the league that I'm running and take the league that he's been running and merge the two. So I can have the guys that I've had locked for years.
You won't be in our draft this year.
Oh, so we're gonna have 2 separate ones.
So correct. So you'll be in yours, and you won't be a part of ours this year.
That's the predicament.
Yeah, that's the prediction. That's what we're trying to do. So we want to double up.
I want to be out of this league. I'm trying to make a super league.
Super league.
No, he's not going to pay for 2 teams. We don't. We're trying to avoid that.
I'm trying to avoid the league, and it's something that I joined years ago, and the league I've been running for. I mean, I started 20 years ago. We went from NFL.com to I started ESPN, I think, in 2012 or 2013. But we've had some people been a lock every year, and some people have come and go. So I'm trying to have more locked people to make a super league in a sense. But the only way to do it on ESPN, because I want that platform, is I basically have to run 2 separate leagues. So what I was thinking was make a Facebook group. Hopefully everybody's on Facebook. And have all the 24 teams join the Facebook group. Well, then they sign up. So all the 24 teams sign up for Facebook and join the group. And then if I run a league on ESPN with 12, or I co-run, me and Edison co-run both ESPN leagues, then every week within the week I can post all the stats as if we're all in the same, platform ESPN, even though we're technically not. And the only way to make it more feel all as a group is you could be certain league where it's like I have my buddy Greg and my brother, then I have Edison and Johnny, and then I have my friend Eddie that's like none of you know, whatever, and they're all in separate. So it's like I have your guys and my guys kind of, like I said, it's all in conjecture right now. It's all thinking process.
Well, it's kind of it's coming down to the wire.
We're about a month or so.
I mean, it's kind of hard.
A little less than a month. I want to get it ironed out.
I think something like that might be a little tough with the time constraints we have coming for the next season.
Like I said, I put out some feelers on Facebook already, so I've been getting some backlash from some and some that are supporting it. So
I've seen it.
We still have time to hash out the major details.
All right, so Pop, the way he wants to do the league, the way you're used to doing the league, how does that sound?
It sounds good because it is a step in the right direction as fantasy football is growing. It's so big now. So you want to grab as many players into your league as possible to consistently do it every year.
And on that note, it's more fun when there's more money involved because there's more prizes to give out.
No,
exactly.
And we want to introduce a ring for this year.
Going back to what he said, you want people who are not just going to pay the money just to pay the money. You want people who do actually the pen, the paper, the books, the study.
It's a grind. It's a grind.
I get it. Sometimes you pay the money, you lose the money. Okay, you want to study. But then again, it's not fun like that. You want people that
you don't want a free win for some other team.
I'm starting this person because I know last year we did this against that team, blah blah blah. I get the fact you don't want duds. You don't want to play against duds. Like you got 5 people on a bye week, and
last year,
you got a full roster.
Right.
1 o'clock starts, and it's like you have a starting receiver that everybody knew was out 2 weeks ago with injury, and it never got changed.
Exactly.
It's like, you dilute the wins for the other person. So of course you're not going to complain when it's with you.
Okay,
we want the players that are going to put the time in.
5 weeks. Like, what's going on? Like,
I mean, we're in the right direction, going to combining leagues. I understand that. I mean, it's great.
It's a lot of great.
It's great, but there's so much great.
It's a lot of details we got to iron out.
Yeah,
but I think as long as you iron out the problematic issues that come up, if those are ironed out first, I think the rest will come into line.
Yeah, of course.
I think the biggest thing is the 2-player pools, 2 drafts.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still working out the details. The thing is, I like the camaraderie that comes with the draft you've been holding, where everybody shows up in person.
Yes.
And you make a day
that's
out.
That's the only way to do it, bro. That's
right.
the only way to do it.
I don't. Not that anybody likes standing at a board for 5 hours.
That's the way you do it.
That's true.
Wild Wings, they go with all the stickers. They have 12 guys at the table.
that's
with
cool. I mean,
beers
those are the way you
everywhere.
do
Big
it.
guys
5 hours.
Big
Right,
guys bar time
right.
just talking nothing
Yeah.
but fucking
Listen,
football.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I've seen dudes
Absolutely.
Yeah.
they fly to like Hawaii. They have custom green jackets.
Yes.
The Hall of Fame. Like they
Yeah.
go so ridiculous.
Yes.
Like,
That's cool.
I would love our
on
league
that
to grow
level,
to that.
Believe it
Yeah.
or not, I look forward to fantasy every year because
Every
of that
year.
shit.
And
Because
honestly,
of the
you know,
the
board,
camaraderie.
the drinking, the
Yeah,
talking.
and
Listen,
listen, and cooking.
hell yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
and
Food.
what we're doing
Can't
right
forget the
now
food.
is just an offspin of that, of fantasy football. We're sitting here talking football because of that.
Yeah.
So we want to keep
we
that
we
going.
enjoy it so much.
You know,
it's
and-
never getting more big.
and-
thing
I
or
mean,
small.
If
Right.
there was a
Exactly.
bridge of friendship
I like
that you
that.
want to use to talk to many different
Yeah,
aspects
same.
of life, this is it. And I agree with your aspect of it and Edison's aspect of it because
Nice.
it just brings more people together. And I agree with it.
Yeah.
As long as you work out the kinks of the issues that will arise. And,
Of course, yeah.
and when
Well,
those
well,
issues
there's
arise
always-
and you have it,
problem.
There's always a few people that will complain no matter what.
there's
course,
always,
yeah.
Always.
"Hey, I had this point or I had that point and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't count this, you didn't count that. But as long as you have it
Ryan,
already
I'm gonna call out
cut and
Ryan on
dry,
that one.
you know, do it cut and dry where if this happens, this is the end result, period. You know,
That's
you
it.
can't bend rules.
It's always the
I'm,
small
I'm, I'm,
details. you gotta
honestly,
hash it out.
I'm for it. I want to try something different. That's cool.
Yeah,
but-
I just have big vision.
but
I think it'll be
now-
fun because
Madison's on
now
board, so-
we
Now-
could do. Sorry, we could do an AFC champion. We could do an NFC champion. Those could be a prize, and then you got your Super Bowl champion.
And like I said, in
Okay.
real
You got,
football,
then that's the big
So a
prize.
plaque compared to a ring. I think.
Okay, plaque for the AFC
Right.
championship, plaque for NFC championship,
Or
something.
or whatever we
A ring
call
for
it,
the winner.
and then a ring
I
for
still,
the
I
winner.
still think the ring's
just
badass.
the real
Oh, the ring- we're doing
NFL
ring.
has had changes. We
Yes.
used to have 6 playoff teams.
Now we
and
have
now
7.
it's a 7.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, we had AFC Central. The Colts were in the Dolphins division.
The NFC
The
Central.
Browns bounced, became the Ravens. The real NFL has had real changes. Even basketball. We went from ABA to BBA and they transferred to NBA. The real life has had real changes. So I'm thinking,
Why not?
Gotta always move forward. Always move forward.
Football, I think, is the best fantasy out there. People say baseball
Exactly,
fantasy is
yeah.
great.
I've
But
tried it.
I think that's hard. to
I've,
do.
I've tried it,
It's
and
hard.
it's consistently
You gotta be
uh,
on it. There's so many games.
so many games. There's so
That's
many
kinda hard.
adjustments. It takes the fun out of it.
Yeah,
It really
that's-
takes the
that's-
fun.
I don't know
There's
what's
fantasy
going on.
golf.
Those games are too long.
Fantasy golf is ridiculous. I know people who have done it, but it's the same as baseball. You have to be. It has to be your pastime, literally, on your phone or on your computer.
All
I
day.
mean, we all work. I mean, there are things that have to be done consistently all the time when you do fantasy baseball or golf, and that takes away from the fun. You know, I think that's why football, because it happens only once a week.
in a
And,
sense,
Well,
and-
now
in
it's
a
like-
sense,
now it's
now
3
it's
times a
3
week.
times a week.
Yeah.
You know,
Special Friday.
But even with 3 times a week and that special
It's
Friday,
manageable.
it's still manageable.
It's only one game.
You know,
on
there's
those
no
other days.
football
Yeah.
at Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's no football at Tuesday at 7. You already know.
But
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what?
Other
Honestly,
sports, they play too often.
if you
Yeah.
guys can pull it off this year, less than a month,
I think we can.
almost a month, I'm down. Man.
I think we
And I know-
not right
and
now.
I-
The
and I-
hardest.
And I know there's a couple guys that might jump off because of that fact, but once they get on it and they start playing, like I said, I was one of them. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna play. I think, but the way you explained it, like I said, he nice might have explained it the same way, but I just wasn't one ear, one on the other one
Yeah, he
because
doesn't pay
I always
attention
just
to me.
didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
No,
Yeah.
because you know what?
A lot
You were
of
listening.
skepticism.
You were listening to
I get it,
Hovey.
you know?
You were listening to Hovey.
Honestly, he was in my head because honestly, it's weird. Because
I get
at
it,
first
yeah.
I thought
Again,
it was
we're
my
not-
O's versus O's,
They say,
blah,
yeah,
blah,
we're
blah.
still hashing out
But
the
now it's
details.
like, okay,
It's
it
all
makes
in
sense.
theory right
And
now.
that's
It's
cool.
old school. It's
To
old
get to know
school.
12 other players from somebody else, not seeing the same dudes all fucking
It's
day.
old school rap. It's an old school Nas rap verse. It's like people fear what they don't understand, and that's what it is. We don't understand a
I was scared.
people don't understand a 2-conference fantasy league because it's probably been done before, but for us,
Right,
it's
like
never
I
been
said,
done.
the other apps support
Honestly, I've
it.
never heard that.
I've heard of it before.
I've never heard of it.
Think
Super
about it, the
teams,
real
yeah. We just
NFL
gotta
has
know the
32
people to
teams.
come.
That's true. That's a good point. That was
So
32
yo, and 24 grown men can't handle 12
Yeah.
leagues. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I get the 20. We'll do 2 of 10.
But
I personally like the 210s
Yeah.
I respect
because
the fact,
you know more stacked rosters.
I respect the fact what you said because I always hated that. I want people who are going to play and put their fucking roster every week.
But that's the
Every
thing.
week.
Exactly.
I hate people
But
who
this
just,
is-
they pay the money, yeah, free money, yeah, whatever. I get it. I like the people who no matter if you want to have a shitty week this week, play your players.
But this is why we set our payouts to the way we set them. So that way you're locked in all year.
So it's not $10. It's $10. It's $10. Now it's $1.50. You either gotta get.
You gotta put your money up. That's $150.
Now, okay, so you gotta care about it. Something. If you don't care about $150, then shit, it will start to
adds up once you have that many players.
So and I'm with you on that. I like that because if you got a whole roster set up, you're playing against someone that one person, everybody's not buying. Like that's not fun.
Yeah,
well, it's fun for you because you're gonna get the W.
Course, but then
but for everybody else in the league, they hate it because it's a free win.
If Sean's on your ass for the standings, and you play somebody that got 5 people want to buy, and he has a tight game with somebody that did everybody, that's not fair to him.
I hear the reason behind it.
Like I said, I want people they come to the draft. Like I said, August is the worst month of the
Bring
year
beer,
with no
you
holidays.
bring food, and you
There's
come to the
nothing.
draft.
There's nothing at all. Every month is a holiday. Either
Well,
Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, Halloween.
August, the holiday is fantasy football draft. That's the holiday.
It's the holiday August.
It's the fantasy football
fantasy
draft.
football draft.
Live at Unice's house. That's what we do.
There'll be tons of beer, tons of food,
And lots of laughs. Lots of laughs. We're hanging out.
That's lots of chilling. But like I said,
Hopefully it's not a muggy day. We're good. That's all we can hope for. That's all we want.
so what's gonna happen? Is gonna be one draft your day and one draft this day, or is everybody going 24 people?
Nah, because if we do 20 people outside, that's going to be a long ass day. It's going to be like a 10-hour day.
That's a long ass
I mean, that's separate days.
In theory, we could do it simultaneously. You know,
Yeah, that's a lot.
have two 12 or 2 10 drafts going on at the same time, and you just separate into two portions of the house.
We
Like I
could
said, we're
do that.
still
That'd be awesome.
Still figure out the
That would be
details.
awesome. Like some people on the deck, some people in the yard.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just a
Because
lot.
In theory, it's supposed
We'll
to
have
be
it
the
designed.
same league.
Yes,
but
it is.
We're doing 2 different pools of draft players, so then the rosters are not so watered down.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in theory, I still care about the wins. I still care about, the only way to do it more legit is to be one of those sites you have to pay. So I wouldn't mind paying. It depends on the price. If you talk about if there's 20, 24 people, 20 dudes, and you're paying $100 for the site, and you're talking each guy is not even $10, I think it's worth it to have it more organized.
Yeah.
Like I said, but I have to
That's why
see if
I want to
can
shoot for
get
24.
Like I said,
I want to use RT because we're familiar with it.
I'm down. You can call
I
me
hate that we got to pay for it,
You can call
but
me
for
in
what we want,
It
because
depends,
I-
yeah.
Because
Like
I want to
said,
see. I want to see how.
There's another site that does the same thing RT does. I don't know the price.
if I know the price, we'll compare prices because I want to do it. I think it's going to be fun.
I'm down. I mean, you got me.
It's just there's nothing different about it. It's going to be 2 leagues at the same time running in one league. There's going to be 2 drafts in one time. That's it. It's the only difference.
They say right now it's like all the big visions and dreams are in my head. Just as all scrambled out. Put it in a straight line of paper.
We've been talking through it. We've been messing each other all the time.
Don't
Like,
listen to Hogan. Just do what you got to do. Listen to
yeah,
Hogan.
don't listen to Hope.
If he's the kind of guy, he'll be on board if you really want
He'll
to.
play.
He's
because
gonna play.
He's gonna hands down. Hogan will play.
Again, Hovey hasn't
Well, he's
heard.
competitive,
I
so-
tried to explain to Hovind or Hovey how we're doing it, and either he's not understanding it or he got to hear it from someone else because he feels like I'm talking crap
Once
to
you
him.
put it all
So
on paper, it'll make more sense. Everyone else is in the gray area where they don't like to change. They're confused. They're
Yeah.
Well, people are always afraid of
Hey,
change.
every got a new iPhone.
Yeah.
You're not changing the rules, though, right?
no, the rules are the
Like,
same.
The rules are the same.
PPR, touchdown points, all that shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything's
yeah,
the
it's
same.
like
Okay.
you're
It's just the
like-
format.
Don't
Just
change
the format.
Don't change all that.
Well,
It's not
Yeah,
even the
it-
format. It's just going to be our league. You're going to go to the homepage. You're going to see our conference, and you're going to see the other conference. That's it. That's it. The only difference.
Like I
You
said,
run
there's
your
other
league
stuff
the
in
same way.
works. I wanted to add defense. Like I said,
Well,
defensive players?
I saw that.
Defensive players.
So what I want
Okay, that's
to do
new.
so
That's new.
far, like I said, I've changed stuff.
I saw your
ESPN,
proposal. I think one defensive player would be
Same
great.
thing.
Proposals, okay. I looked at the roster of linebackers. It doesn't seem like there's enough bigger players to support the amount of teams. So
Yeah.
I figured I wanted to make it more homework, even though I know it's going to be annoying to some people. There's certain defensive names that are just as big as offensive players.
Yes.
They never get no
Yeah.
clout because
Yes.
they take the team as a whole.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
for example,
Very minimal. Very
even though
minimal, but
he's
they're
not a
there.
Bills
Very well
fan,
put.
and he drafted like everybody in the Bills last year. Then instead of taking Bills defense, because me personally, I think kicker is kind of irrelevant. Like
No,
I know
sometimes the kicker comes
stats
through,
and
man.
players like crazy, and I couldn't even name all the
Well, in
kickers in
a
every
normal
team.
league, a kicker won't give you much. Our league,
Yeah, I've had
if you
kickers
kick
get
a 60
21,
yarder, that's 8
you know?
points.
But I
Because we
want
stopped.
to-
We put our point differential different for our
yeah,
kickers.
or like a 50
So make it worth
yarder
it.
is
So a
5
50
points.
yarder is 5 points.
Yeah.
60 is 8 points because that's so rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safety's 10 points,
I
not
like
the normal
that.
3
I like
like
that.
at ESPN.
So what I was
There's
thinking
some validity
was,
to a kicker.
you know, you get every person drafts a defensive lineman, so it doesn't matter if it's a tackle or edge. And every person drafts a defensive back, either a safety or a corner. Now, what I'm working on is the point system for that, because obviously there's a better chance a corner or safety passes a pass defense versus maybe an interior lineman. Obviously, because you're throwing the receiver tight in the ball. And obviously, probably a better chance, Michael Parsons gets the sack versus Jalen Ramsey. So I get it. The points have to be on a scale where it makes sense, where sacks might be a lot easier to get interceptions, because no one's going to get 5 interceptions every game. It's like impossible, where you could get 3 sacks a game or 2 sacks or sacks.
Yeah.
So the points have to match each other, where
Or it's even almost.
it's even out. Like
Yeah.
maybe you get 2 points for a sack. And think about it. Most players, unless you're Reggie White, you're not getting 3 sacks every single game. So you might get.
So maybe it's maybe it's 2 points for a sack for a defensive lineman, but for a
Yeah.
corner to get a sack, there's
So-
3 points.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
were you
Just
thinking?
try to even it out because it's so
What
rare.
You were thinking about QB.
So take out the defensive / special teams and the kicker, and add 2 defensive players. So to have no linebacker, this is not enough depth. If you have 24 teams or 20 teams, you're going to take the linebackers. They're going to barely do anything that no one's going to even know, and have 1 defensive lineman. So like if you're in the 7th round and Lee's like, oh whatever, I want to draft Michael Parsons instead of a 3rd string receiver in the Bengals, and introduce, because there's names like Nick Bosa and whatever that
Joey
they're-
Bosa,
you know,
Von Miller,
exactly.
Aaron Donald.
Big
Yeah, there's a
defensive
bunch.
names.
You
There's
have-
as
you have
big
at
as
least
Aaron
10.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
You have
There's
at least
ton
10.
of them.
There's a
so
ton, yeah.
many of them, and there's other players that this is where the more homework
Jair
comes in.
Alexander,
Like you
more
might
important
have
league.
a 9th rounder instead of taking a 3rd string receiver on the Lions or a Jarvis Landry kind of guy, where at the end of the year he's not going to do much. You might pounce in the 7th round or 8th round and say, oh, whatever, I'm just going to draft
Von Miller.
the best defensive tackle, the best
Yeah,
edge.
yeah.
Right.
I'm going to draft the best corner, and hopefully to do well. And you can have notable players in your team that are. So, for example, there's certain people that like drafting their own team. Like if I was to draft 5 Dolphins players, on a fantasy standpoint, it doesn't make sense, but some people like doing that. So if you want to draft 5 players,
Shout out
for
to
Bills,
Omega.
Can't you
Well-
just keep the kicker? And then just add the defensive player?
I mean, you
Why-
could.
Why get rid of the kicker? I mean,
I just
I'm
figured-
not, I'm
Well,
not, I'm not
if
saying-
we're running a standard league,
I
you can
figured-
get rid of the kicker.
Yeah, you
But the way we have our kickers' points, I love having the kicker.
yeah.
I love
Because
having.
If
That's
you
the only
get
reason
somebody
I'm
to kick a
saying it,
60-yarder, 8 points is
They
clutch.
they well deserved that
Yes.
8 points.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you
I mean-
can still do the players. I'm not saying that, but I feel like you shouldn't get rid of the kicker. That's one thing. Get rid of the defense, I guess it's fine. But then
No,
get
I
rid of
like
kicker.
I like having a defensive player, but I would like to say
Because there's some
one
games where
defensive
it's
player
like,
so everyone could have
if
a
you
star.
have a random game where you have, let's say, a lineman on a team that's not that popular, doesn't have the best defensive line, and somehow he has a strip fumble and he runs a touchdown, you have that one game, you might get 12 or 15 points from that edge rusher. You weren't even thinking about it. Like those weeks, the kicker is 21 points. And
Well-
it's a
Yeah.
blowout for that week. You weren't expecting those points.
Right.
I thought it would be fun to introduce the players.
I think
I'm all
that's
for it.
I
thinking.
agree with it. I like it. I like the fact that because we haven't touched base on any defensive player,
Yeah, that's
only
what-
as a defense as a whole.
As a whole.
So
So a lot of times you're not
it's,
going to
it's,
draft
it's just that
defense because you know they're probably going to be trash.
it's
So
just-
you could have one guy.
you know it's just so diluted.
Yeah,
I mean, you only have 10 big time linebackers out of 32 teams. I mean, out of 24 teams that we're looking at, right?
Yep.
You're only looking at. I mean, the odds are very small
Yeah.
that you would even draft somebody. If the top 10 are gone in a draft, the rest is a gamble, literally.
Yeah, and I think
I
the
mean,
variables what makes it fun.
Unless,
that gray area.
unless the point scheme for the individual player,
Yeah.
because they're not high, how would I say,
High end?
the high end,
Yeah.
that they get bigger points. Because
Of course.
I cannot count on a linebacker from the Browns, let's just say, for example,
Yeah.
coming through and doing 2 sacks and maybe a pick in a game, whereas
He'll do
it's a
that once
possibility
every
for
3
Bosa
weeks.
or a possibility for Von Miller.
Of course, yeah. That's
You know-
why I figured if it wasn't too specific, I would do 2 defensive players instead of doing 1 D. I was going to take linebacker out because I think the depth isn't there. But a defensive lineman, you have 1 lineman and you have 1 defensive back. So let's say I could have a Hutchinson and I could have like Xavier Howard, or I could have Jalen Phillips and Javon Holland if I want. Or you could do 2 defensive players, then you could have a choice between anybody on defense. So if you want to have, Leighton Vander Esch is their linebacker as a defensive player, and some random Roquan Smith or something. You could have two linebackers if you want. I just felt
this is why I
the
think
issue with the
to go off that. Well, I think we should do one defensive player, no matter who you want. Just because we're trying it for the first time.
Yeah.
So that way everyone gets the feel of it of having a star.
Yeah.
And then they could, they start learning of, who the other guys are on other teams.
Yeah,
So
that
are
makes
you,
they can learn from it.
are you adding a defensive player and cutting out defense in general?
So I feel
don't
like
know.
I can't do both. If you're gonna do, because the thing is,
Because
special
what if-
teams does play a role.
It does.
So if you have only defensive players, like I had one year with altercation where Cordell Patterson had like a punt return touchdown and he didn't get the points because it went on the special teams and not the individual player.
Right.
The
He's
stats
a
were
running
set up
back.
where it's like the special teams got the points and not the individual player because in that possession he wasn't offense or defense.
Correct.
So it makes
So
sense.
I think what he was going to say,
But
what if
depends
I
how
had
you
Jared
score.
Alexander and he scores a touchdown for me, and I'm playing against him, he has the Packers defense. Does he get the point? He get the points too, or just the person?
That's the thing.
That's
That's
it. We
why
don't know
you
what
can
we're gonna
both.
do. We gotta figure it out.
The players will supplement the team. So it's like I want to have where, for example, Javon Holland got an interception for a touchdown. Then it's like you're lucky that week that specific player had, got the points. Like I said, I'm trying to, even though it's frustrating to some, I'm trying to add the homework where instead of just. Because most of the years, you're not going to draft Browns the first defense. For the last 20 years, been Steelers, Ravens, sometimes Cowboys,
Bears.
sometimes Bears, Pats. It's always been the same.
I had to throw it in there. Sorry.
14 teams do defense.
Typical Bears fan.
And there's somewhere every year's like,
I love Bears.
Lions really good special teams, but then their defense just thrashed them points, yards.
Yeah.
But you might have one specific guy in the Lions that does really well the whole season. And he gets no clout because the defense as a whole is not that good. So
Now, why can't we do a point system where if you do select somebody on defense, can they get points for tackles? I mean,
that's
a
what
lot of
I
them
figured out.
are
Passing
with
defense,
tackles.
tackles.
I mean, tackles are consistent. That's
Of
for
course,
sure.
yeah.
That's for sure.
That's the thing. It's like if a Lions corner got an interception, he would get like 3 points or just that. Because, like I said, you're not going to get 20 points for defensive player if everything is half a point. So you'd have, a linebacker is probably going to get more tackles than a safety. Which the tackle is going to happen every single play in a sense. So you would do the tackles would be a half a point because one individual linebacker is not going to get all the tackles in the game.
Correct.
So it'd be spread out to 13 players.
But it sounds like somewhere where we can start there first.
Yeah.
If this is something that we're testing the waters,
Yeah.
let's start there with the actual tackles on the individual
So
that
I
you
figure,
drafted.
it's going to be sacks,
and then work
interceptions.
from there.
Yeah, passes defense. So if they throw to Jefferson and Sauce Gardner jumps and throws it on the ground, they'll get half a point or a point for pass defense.
For Sauce.
For Sauce.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah,
because
yeah.
He batted,
batted it down.
He batted down the ball.
Like I said.
No, I
it
don't
could be a
agree
lot-
with that. It has to be a complete play.
Well, like I said.
Well, but that's
the
defensive
gray
player
area.
making a play,
Well,
though.
that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't get points to disrupt
a
the
corner
play.
is not going to get 2 sacks a game like T.J. Watt or Michael Parsons. A safety is not going to.
And on the same hand, a corner's not going to get a pick every game.
Right.
So pass
Yeah.
defense
That-
is just as good.
Yeah,
Correct.
like a D line.
Yeah.
A D line's not going to get a bunch of pass defense because most QBs you're going to, unless you bat it down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you
pass
shouldn't
it
get points
20
for a
yards.
bat down.
Well,
Why not? It's a
a way to
defensive
level
play.
out
It's
But
a
the
yeah,
sport.
score, 'cause,
I mean,
a linebacker in the defensive
I
line
mean-
get more sacks than the safeties and corners.
I think
'Cause they
that's-
play further from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
that's the gray area that we're trying to get over, which is,
Yeah.
can we if he bat down the ball? Let's keep it simple. Just because you batted down the ball, that's your job. You didn't complete the play. Now,
Well,
unless
as a defense,
if he batted down the ball and that bat down
It-
created an interception for another team, then you should get credit for that.
All right, but it works the same way for
Yeah.
receivers. If you catch the ball 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, you get tackled. You get no yards, but you still get the point for the catch.
3-yard catch.
Yes.
You didn't complete the play, but you still get a point.
I said,
Yeah.
it's basically
So it's the same thing. It's not fair for either side.
Yeah.
You get the point for the catch, but it was negative 3 yards.
It's the corner
Yeah.
and safety's way
So if
of
I'm-
making points on tackles because unless you catch the ball and they tackle, they're not tackling unless people catch the ball.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins throws a bomb to Jefferson and he misses it, then the corner gets nothing on that play, and neither does the receiver. Whereas if you run the ball, there's a good chance a linebacker or a defensive line is going to make the tackle on the running back versus the free safety. So their passes defense would be the equivalent of the tackles and the people closer to the line of scrimmage. Like I said, it's
It's a lot to work.
So
with.
safe
It's
to
a lot to
say-
try to figure
So
out.
all
Yeah,
that being said, what do you think will have the nail in the coffin so we get this shit started?
Well,
It's gonna be
I'm
hard to-
hoping within the next 2
Because
weeks.
I mean,
or
we
so.
Yeah,
got
it's-
August 26th.
Wow,
is
that's
the
a
date.
lot. That's
what I'm saying, right?
a
That's
lot.
it.
August
August
25th is
And-
that's
and
your
I would
game.
prefer to have I like to have the draft as close as the regular season as possible.
100%.
There's
Yeah.
the people that draft August 1st, and then Derrick Henry breaks his ankle in camp and he's out the season. Like 1 year, I drafted Andrew Luck and he was out the year before the season started. And
The
it
year he
ruined the half
retired?
The season. The,
No.
year, the year he retired. You're right.
Yeah, right. I remember that. I remember that.
Well, it was Craig.
And you still came in the money.
Ravens running back that got hurt for the draft.
Gus
Gus Edwards. And he drafted who was the other Ravens
J.K.
running back?
J.K.
Dobbins.
Dobbins, yeah.
It's like, you're on your third Ravens running back before the draft is even over.
Yeah.
The season didn't even start yet. So.
Yeah, and it's always good to have the draft late. I love it.
Keep it August, you go
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I agree.
I prefer,
have a draft
the
late.
first week of September, the first Sunday. So the Sunday right before Labor Day, I would love that. But everybody has their cookouts and boat parties.
Well,
and
yeah,
their
hey,
hot
hey,
dogs.
listen, fantasy football is something that you either in or you're out.
So the week
You know,
before
you have
August-
to establish a time frame. See, I think that's where the gray areas come in, where can people make it, can people cannot. See, set your standards. This is what it is this day.
Oh, we do it every year.
Yeah.
we do it
Like I
that
said,
every
Do it
year.
up.
Yeah.
more
live.
people than me. So I'm
Do
Yeah.
do a live
Don't worry.
draft, right?
We had people drop out last year. We had too many.
And that's good though.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
That's a
But
good
now
thing.
we have people drop out
Well,
this year,
we need
and they're
to
coming
make
in back
sure-
in this year.
But we need to make sure the locks are locked up. Show up,
Yeah, that's
Of
what I'm
course,
saying.
of
That's
course.
where
bring your beer, bring stuff.
weeds
Be
will
a-
weed themselves.
Be
That's
a
what I'm trying to
lambong,
do
you
now.
know what I'm saying? Just bring shit.
Lambong, which is Spanish for slacker.
Yes.
For
For those of you that
For
don't
those
know.
out there who
I
don't
want
know.
people to participate and have a good time. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole point. That's the shit we look forward to.
I mean, I'm all for it.
We do
I'm
it.
all,
We do
I'm all
draft
for
board.
it. I
We
think
love it.
I think fantasy football is we're due for something new.
Yeah.
Yes,
Everything
I'm
is
down
like,
for
like
it.
I explained before, from a newspaper to jotting down my own
Yeah,
points
exactly.
to
So
this.
just all you gotta do is watch the
I
games
think
now.
I get
This-
notifications.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
yo, Johnny had Calvin Ridley. Yo, he's out for the game.
Yeah,
Yo, I know.
Yeah.
this is key.
It's like-
This is key. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I like to try new things.
I'm good, man. You
Let's
got me.
do it.
Let's run it.
You know,
But we got it.
The
Get them-
vision's there. I just
you know,
gotta
just-
scratch
just-
up and buff out the details.
We'll call
Think-
out next week
yeah.
to get this shit done.
think about those gray
Well,
areas.
yeah.
Those gray areas where issues might occur.
course,
And if you have them pinned down now, they will not deter from the season
gonna
going
be-
forward
Oh, it's gonna be good.
for everybody else. Because my error, and if you fix it up just enough, if you're the commission, other teams will see, okay, this is what happens when this happens, and this is what they did. And we can move forward and proceed with a
It's
better
gonna be a
season.
co-commission
Yeah.
here. It's gonna be in Sean co-commission.
Not
Okay.
only that, the
Okay.
people that are like coming like Lee and people who play with us every year,
Lee's trash.
you gotta kind of break it down to them too. Like, this is what's gonna
I
happen.
say, yeah, I figured the guys
He's
at
getting
my
lucky,
end
yeah.
would try to place a
Trash.
phone call and talk to everyone individually to be like, really go on all the details and say if you're in or out. Like I said, there's still a lot of stuff hashed out the
Yeah,
details.
you're right. Get the
How
in and
about-
out- get the in and outs now so that when
you know-
you explain it, it's not a surprise.
Oh, yeah,
It's
well,
like,
draft
you
day-
can't say
listen,
this on
Well,
that,
again,
you know?
draft day we always do explanations for any questions.
No,
We
no,
always
no.
say,
But
any
I think-
questions.
But no,
I think-
no,
I
this
think-
is different.
This is different.
than
There will be a lot of
dropping the bomb
questions.
Like, oh, whether change the kick from 10 points to 5 points.
So this draft-
This is totally funny. You can't drop this on them on draft day because
Oh, no, no, I know.
you're not
On that-
you're
This
not
is
gonna
why
go
I propose a pre-draft meeting.
I would like to
Yeah,
do
A
that's
that.
pre-draft.
I was gonna say that our
Everybody
drafts are
come in
usually
person.
5 hours, 5-6 hours on
I
average.
like it, Liz.
Bullshit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
So
and
I
that's
say-
good.
That's a good-
That's
I
a
say
good
out
thing.
of that, add 1 more hour for questions. We explain to everybody that day.
On draft
you guys
day.
have any
I don't
questions?
I don't think
We gotta
on
go
draft
through.
day
Okay, it's gonna be hard on
it's
draft
too
day.
much
Okay,
to
what if
do.
10 people drop out on draft day?
If anybody has questions, we're gonna send them this podcast right now.
It's not-
Go listen to this. You're gonna get the explanation.
Like I said, in theory,
On our
if-
draft day, if
if
you didn't listen to the podcast, you got questions,
I would
let
like
me know. We'll
everybody
figure it
to
out.
be in person.
I like
It's
a
like
pre-draft.
hash out.
I propose a pre-draft.
I like
You know,
I like
if the
draft
draft
day.
if the
So
draft
just
is
leave
on
it an hour
Saturday,
earlier.
if the draft is on Saturday, let's do a
It's
pre-draft
not a
on
lot.
Friday
No, it's not.
where we can talk about the kinks and the Kirks, where we're trying to introduce for this
Hold on.
upcoming season.
Real quick. We're
You know?
all veterans in fantasy football. A lot of people we got coming are veterans in fantasy football. If it takes more than an hour to explain somebody what we're trying to do, they shouldn't be playing fantasy
anything,
football.
but anything involved with money is you need to be more
on draft day.
precise.
Yeah,
I like the pre-draft days.
We got a lot of people on backup.
I think a
you
pre-draft.
make a Facebook group, and you can hash out all the questions that.
Talk about it.
Pre-draft.
And like my
Pre-draft.
board doesn't even know who you guys are.
Yes.
Have them read it, and if they don't like it, they don't have to play.
At the end of the day,
I
you
say-
guys-
We'll set that up.
You got
That's
your
fine.
guys,
I like
and I
that.
have mine.
I like
so,
that.
you know, you
Yeah,
have to
you
keep
set
that
up your
control,
Facebook,
and
you
now
set up
we'll
yours.
figure it out.
Break it down. How you gonna break it? How you think shit's gonna go?
Make it one big
And then-
page, and we'll invite
exactly.
everybody to the page.
Exactly. Yeah,
If
exactly.
they read it,
Because
if
even
they
now,
like it,
we've
they
had
join.
certain.
I don't have Facebook, so
But you
I
already
guess
make
I'm
one.
out.
But you're already in though, so it don't matter.
You already know it. You know what's going on.
Well, yeah, I'm here,
So-
Facebook.
Well, you could make a Facebook.
I mean, no, I don't like Facebook.
you don't want to make one?
No, I
Well,
hate.
He's a different generation.
I
so he
hate
doesn't
Facebook.
know.
Facebook is all about too much.
Yeah,
Technology
We're
and
gonna
the old
post it
man
to
are not,
USA
they don't go. They
Nah.
don't coincide.
I like.
Post it to USA
Tell me
Today.
what it is. I'm more of a handshake. This
Yeah,
is
me
what it
too.
is.
I
Thank
like
you
in
very much,
person,
sir.
yeah.
And this is it's
No,
a done
you
deal.
just told us you're a
It's a done
USA
deal.
Today guy.
Yeah,
And that's
well,
it.
no, that's when it started.
I
But
know.
I have
I like stuff
I
on
have
paper, in
transitioned,
person,
Yeah.
and I have transitioned
person is the best.
effectively to the new way fantasy football is played.
The best way to get your point across
And I
is
love
in
it.
person.
And,
I
love
agree.
it. And shout out to RT Sports. You know, I've been doing it
Shout
for
out
years.
to RT Sports.
You
You're
know,
over expensive for no reason.
You are expensive, but you give us things that keep us entertained as far as following stats,
Customization.
points.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
we
got a
even
lot of
have
different stuff.
an extra entertainment part, which is picking the game straight out with no line.
Pick'ems,
I mean,
yes.
I mean
love
that
pick'ems.
right there. That right there was great.
That was good.
That's always good money. Even if you don't place, you
Yes.
get good money in picks.
Yeah,
You always get good
The
money in
picks,
picks.
the picks are great because you can cover your money as far as trades. You can cover yourself as far as picks. It covers a good portion if you're on it, and that part of RT Sports I liked.
Somebody
Because
like
even
Lee,
if I didn't-
somebody
if-
like Lee will pick up and drop consistently every week.
Yeah.
You can take all his 40 guys that he owns, give it to somebody who take that shit.
Well, not only is
That's
it
what it
about
is.
the money, which I agree, but still it gives an opportunity for the person to
Yeah.
say, I can at least make something
Make something-
out of it.
I mean, you guys
You
have
know,
a high week.
Even though I'm a loser, my team is 1-13, but my picks, I'm number 2.
I mean, I got.
I'm
I
number
haven't
2 in
not got
picks.
first in pick'em league since I
Yeah.
got tied for first one year,
This
and
is
I
why
won
we
one
hate
year.
you.
I got lucky with that.
But you know, man, like I said, that thing is perfect what you said. Drop it on Facebook. Explain it however you have to. Whoever don't understand it, don't have to play. But honestly,
Again,
it's like
we
what
play
you
with
said.
veterans.
Exactly.
They
exactly what you
gotta
said.
know what's
If
up.
you're a vet and you know what the hell you're doing, it's not gonna be. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not rocket
You
science.
won't be
It's not
playing
rocket
and putting down the amount of money that's needed to play
The
if
only
you didn't
time-
know.
The only time we're gonna need
So-
extra explanation is if we
For
were
people
doing
like
the
Hovi
two
and
conferences.
Lee, we gotta explain it
Yeah.
twice.
We were doing
That-
the two conferences and they were playing each
that-
other all the time.
That and I
Well,
agree.
Yeah, like I said,
As long as the gray areas are dotted
Yeah,
and
we'll be
everything's
good.
covered with issues,
We'll be
because
good.
issues will arise. Issues will
Shout
arise
out
that
AJ,
never happened before.
Mr.
As
No
long as
Chin
you
Hair,
cover
he's in the
that,
league this year.
cover that with an umbrella. Whereas if it happens, there's an umbrella, and we can all talk amongst owners or commissioner, and then close it.
Oh, it's gonna be
done.
simple. We're gonna be
I
good.
think what you said, Sean, the Facebook page, the talk. Hey,
Yeah,
it's
so
my
everybody
opinion.
can-
It's my
yeah.
opinion.
It seems like
Get
some
it
of you
in,
guys like
yeah,
kickers. Like I
exactly.
don't really care, but I'm not against it. I played with kickers 20
Let's
years.
just. I want to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
that
yeah.
down before.
How many field goals you kick?
Let's just get it down.
You know how hard that is?
Draft, so that way, when the draft comes, everybody knows what knows what hell they're walking into. You know, you got to bring your book, your pen, your paper, whatever.
Exactly.
Bring your A
Ready.
game,
You're
man.
not-
Bring your
you're
A
not
game,
gonna
bro.
go, well, how many points is this? How many points? If you would have read the fucking message on Facebook,
Yeah.
you won't be asking this question.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I mean,
I'm cool with that. Yes,
Most of our score,
I'm cool with
the
that.
scoring's gonna stay the same.
No,
The only
that's
thing we
fine.
might change is if we do the
Well,
defensive
you
player,
said-
which is
you
one
said we
or
got new
two.
people. You said we got some new people.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Those are the ones you got to touch base with
Yeah.
to
They'll be
really,
fine. Yeah,
to really get it through.
I've been, kicking my facts here and there.
Yeah, like I said,
Because-
Go on the Facebook page, read the shit, and then
because even though I like the in-person pre-draft
I do too.
meeting
But
seems
everybody
really hard
works
to
and all
do.
that shit.
It's hard to
Yeah,
do with
so you got
all
2
the
days in a
drafting.
row.
I get it.
2 days in a row, all the way out in the
It's tough.
sticks up
But
here. That's
it's
crazy.
tough.
The best idea was the Facebook shit.
Yeah, if I had a
Everybody
lot of
got
money,
it.
I could rent a hotel and rent out a banker room.
That's
and
your
do
problem,
things.
right?
I'm there, man. I'm
Hey,
there.
Sean, if you
I'm
rent it
there.
out, we coming. We coming.
I come in my Bears jersey. It's a wrap.
But
I'll burn that shit.
perfect idea. The Facebook leagues for everybody got it.
Packer fan hate
Then
it.
everybody, like I said, I'm open to criticism. I have been a long time. I've
Oh
made
yeah, I'm
plenty of
always open for
changes.
that.
I went from waiver wire from Thursday to Wednesday and changed.
Oh, no, it's
things. I'm
Thursday.
not- You know, I remember RT Sports, and I would get 5 players at 8 o'clock at the same time, and my brother.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That's crunch time.
Yeah.
I remember, you know.
That's
Yeah.
crunch time.
Listen,
I remember.
I
before
agree.
I didn't punch
You know,
before,
it's crazy.
I would be like 7:59. I'm like, I'm about to refresh this shit.
I-
Refresh it.
I
I used-
wouldn't wake up early unless it was for fantasy football. And that's
I
saying
used-
something.
I used to hate.
And that's saying
It
something.
used to be at 3 a.m. in ESPN. My brother would work third
Yeah,
shift,
that's
and
crazy.
he would get all the stuff at 3 a.m. because he was already awake at work. So it's like, oh, the guys wake up at 6:50. It's like, oh, that guy you already wanted is already gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like
some-
I have
some of
wait.
those-
There's always that
some
one
of those
person with the one-
standards-
with the one click fast.
Yeah.
See, but RT has the ability to do the waiver wire.
Yes.
So we can do the waiver wire where it's different every week. No matter what, it shuffles who's gonna get the first available option
Yes.
for
Yeah,
free
it
agency.
should go
waiver
first.
wire.
Oh, okay. Like if your record starts compared to his record and all that like that.
It does. It does.
Yes.
It does like
Well,
that.
it should
But
be
it does
based on
randomize
transaction.
in there.
So
Yeah.
So at a team that's 3-0, they could get the number 1 spot. It's possible.
it's
it's
rare,
rare, but
Because
it's possible.
if they ask for the person that the guy on the bottom didn't ask for, then that
Well,
guy's
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
get him.
exactly.
It's basically done. You being the owner,
It's first and
monitoring your own team and what's going out there.
Yeah.
Again, it's all based on your
So
homework.
if you're number 1 on the waiver and you want to get Gale Sayers and he's still there and you click him, you
And if he's
forget.
still alive,
And then you
I
go back to
swear
12.
there's a problem.
What fantasy league are you
I
playing
had to
in?
go back far enough. Things were different.
Nah, but you know what? I like the way you said it. I like the way you spoke about it. Let's run. I'm done. It
I
sounds
want to
cool.
run the Facebook
I like it.
group and see what people say.
I'm okay with it.
It's
I'm not going to fire, but hey, it's
But you know what? That's cool. At least you know. Okay, let's tweak this. Let's tweak that. However you get everybody, fuck it, I want to do it. Let's play.
And like I said, we're in a democracy. If you are the commissioner, 2 co-commissioners,
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
you are the end all be all.
Yeah, if you knock
You know,
the Cowboys,
this-
that's it, bro. That's
my thing is
That's how we're gonna run
we
it.
should
too.
not go to the vote. The vote has always been an issue.
Yeah, the vote always been.
It's always been an issue.
Yeah, what, for trades?
For trades or for
Yeah, usually you
pickups,
have league manager
or-
veto. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It
you
depends
know,
what it is.
if I want a guy and this guy asks for him, right, at the same time, let's say some computer glitch or whatever the case is, it should be on the commissioners to make the final decision, end all, be all. And that's, as long as that is made, that at the beginning of the draft, what we say is, that's it. You cannot fight it. You cannot go further. It's it.
And it's
Yeah.
cool that there's 2 commissioners. So if he agrees with something I said, he's not being biased. He's my brother because you agree on the same shit he did.
It has to be.
So that
Yeah.
way, if you knock the gavel and this it, the gavel's it's knocked out, whatever y'all said goes. That's
Commissioner
it.
goes.
No arguments, no nothing.
No.
Good deal.
There
That's
is
the
no
way it should be.
revolt.
That way there's no, oh, he said this, oh, he said that. Like, nah, him and him, both of them, they said that.
Well, no matter what, I mean,
Yeah.
that goes without saying. I don't
it
play
has
favorites.
to stand for something.
No,
No,
no, no,
I would never play
commissioner.
favorites.
The word commissioner is huge to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, it is.
To me is
Well,
I'm
back
even.
then it did. Now it's like, yeah.
Well,
the
well
person-
I think we should reestablish that
Yeah.
as being
I
the
agree.
commissioner, the
I
end
agree.
all be all.
Yeah.
I'd rather lose every
End
year
all,
and
be
have it
all.
go smooth than me win and be a disaster.
Exactly.
I've
I
never
like that a
won.
lot.
End
I've
all,
gotten
be all.
close, and I had
Now.
a league where I won. It's like
Yeah.
I'd rather lose every year and have it go smooth and everybody had fun
Yes.
and happy. Whoever won than me to win and be any collusion, be a disaster because I've had glitches
Yeah.
before I can't explain.
Right.
And people got mad at me. They got out of the league, and it was like, if anybody knows, I have way too much integrity for it to go right than for me to win.
It has to.
I have a job to make.
It has to
I like to
be.
win is great.
It has to be solid.
As a
And
commissioner, you have to
now,
make it
how
money.
much? Now,
You
my
just run the
question.
league. That's it.
My next question is,
Want to win
how
smooth.
much is the commissioner relying on the rules and regs of the NFL?
Yeah. So
How is the
there's some
interpretation
things that
going
we
to
can't
come?
control. So I've had
Yeah.
some years where a person thought they won, and then last minute, the person that runs the stats that's out of my control, they make stat error corrections, and then an
Oh, okay,
opposite
yeah,
person
right,
wins.
right.
Or it's,
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
one year, a
That's
guy
really
took a
rare,
knee,
though.
and he lost a yard on the play, the quarterback. It changed the quarterback's stats, and he lost by half a point.
But that's out of your control. That is out of your control. But
and that's so rare.
Yes,
for
it
the
is.
person to get mad at you for that is on them. Like,
Yes.
come on.
But
yeah.
it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
will. It will.
They were
But
not
then,
perfect.
like you said, once the gravel comes down, there's no argument. With
Yeah.
it's the end all be all. So your rule,
There's a lot of stuff we
commissioner.
can't. A lot of stuff we can't control. Like last year, championship game.
Oh, being canceled because of
Yeah,
what happened.
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
of what
no,
happened
this
to
is what
Mark
I'm
Hamlin.
saying. It ain't gonna happen all the time for
It's
sure.
not. That was a rare occasion. You
That
and
was
Lee.
that
So
was
we
a-
decided for
surprised
you
you
and
stopped.
Lee to split
So much.
the title
They went to
because
halftime, or not to halftime.
No,
it wasn't even halftime. It was like
I
second
had a
quarter.
They took a break. And
Yeah.
then like, when the season would resume, then
This is-
canceling the whole thing.
Because realistically,
This is
Lee had
Yeah.
Josh Allen
And
and
Diggs.
Diggs.
And he had-
You just had Burrow,
right.
but you
No,
were
no,
down
no.
by
I
20.
had two people.
Yeah, Tyler
No, yeah.
Boyd.
I had two.
Boyd and Burrow, right?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Based on the players,
I'm sorry.
if everybody made the points they should have
He
made,
didn't- all he
Yeah.
had was
Lee
Boyd, but
probably
he's
would have
leading.
won.
Yes. Oh,
They
yes.
were
Right.
winning
Right.
by
Right.
points at the time.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
thought the only thing fair to do
Right.
is not either one of you's fault to cancel the game. I had bets that they just gave me the money back. It's like the only way is
Yes,
you
I remember
split
that.
the cash,
Cold
split the
winners.
whatever, and you call
That's
it
the
a
only-
day.
So it's split it.
Only way to make it fair.
Because
It's like
Lee was
40
adamant he was gonna win.
Yeah.
I was like, you never know, because Josh Allen has stunk it up,
Right.
True.
and
If you look at the data,
but at the
run
same
numbers,
time, Cincinnati's defense was so trash.
Probably
Josh
would've
Allen
won,
would have
would've
made up
been
that
out.
20 points and you were up by.
It wasn't a playoff game, right?
Yeah,
it was
it
around
was.
the season.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They could have sat Josh Allen after the first quarter.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
They
We don't
should've.
know that.
We don't know anything. That's why it was good that Josh okay.
Co-champs.
They
Co-champs.
should-
Okay.
they should
That was
have
like the
done
best
is
option.
replay the game
So, that-
at a later time and have a week 19 for just that specific
Yeah, then
game
okay, then
and just
okay,
play
we'll
it and
wait
get the
that-
stats
Yeah,
normal.
exactly.
That's what I should have done.
Yeah, originally I thought you were the lead, you win. But then I'm thinking about it. What if he had two guys going?
Exactly.
But see-
That was a high-powered
I
offense.
think
Right.
if Lee
versus
was
crap
winning,
trash
when the
defense.
Yeah, but that's the what if thing.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that what
We
if
don't
thing.
know.
That's why I say
the way you
commissioners
did it,
should
yeah.
say, gavel come down, it's a wrap.
That's what, yeah.
This is
Thing is,
what.
yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. Is there a relevancy, or should there be a relevancy with what the NFL commissioner said versus what you said?
Yeah, I mean, there's
It's
really-
like he
I
said,
think we're gonna
if-
go
if-
with what the
it's-
commissioner
it's
says.
It's like what Sean said. If Goodell said, okay, we're going to play this game in week 19, then you're going to go with that.
that's what they should
Okay,
have.
so
Yeah.
this championship game is going to put on pause for 2 weeks until week 19.
And they never
Yeah.
played it.
Yeah,
They
they
never
never
played it, yeah.
They never played it. So it goes back on
Yeah.
to the commission.
I mean, I think that if the game stopped the way it was,
Lee's still
and
trash.
based on the players, if Lee
And I'm not
already
bringing it
had
up
more
as
points,
I was affected
Yeah.
or there's an issue with it.
No,
I'm
no.
just bringing it up as it's a good point
Well, I just-
because it never happened
Can I make a
before.
point?
Yeah.
Can I make a point? You got lucky being there in the first place. Just saying.
Well, this is what fantasy
another
football.
conversation.
That
Well,
is
no,
another
but that
conversation, I know.
no. See, that's a what if, could have, because fantasy football is
I mean, I
that
was
way.
in- I was in the
We don't
seed.
play football.
You took me out of the playoffs.
yeah, but the thing is,
That's
if you look at
crazy.
the total points for, you
Yeah.
are in the top bracket regardless.
He was top three,
even
yeah.
though your wins to wins per week, I've had some teams get my brother lost in the championship in another league versus a team that didn't even have a 500 record because Jefferson did nothing. All his players
Right.
crapped the bed the last
I'm
game.
50-50 on playoffs. I
Right.
swear. I'm
And it
50-50
had
on
to.
playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But real life has
If I
playoffs.
could say, if I could say one thing, and I think it's weird when you how I did it last year. I didn't argue because I was there last anyway. I think I should have had a season champion and then make a separate playoff thing.
A lot of leagues do that.
I didn't like the fact that he won the season league and got kicked out of the playoffs and didn't get shit. No money, no nothing. That's not right. He put in all the work throughout the season to get to number one and then get nothing just to kick out the playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, in real life,
that-
No,
but-
and it's true.
yeah. That
I
happens in
just
real life.
said-
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was
Like I
weird.
said,
I
but
never
then-
played it like that.
I've
When
been
you
a part
said
of.
you didn't win, I was like, wait, you did win.
I was part of a
That's
I was part of a
Yeah.
Yahoo league. I was 11-2. We did 13 weeks. Yahoo 13 weeks and then 3 weeks regular season playoffs. I went 11-2. First week I lost to a 7-7 team in playoffs.
And that's the
You know what I'm
thing.
saying?
And I was
See,
like, what the
even
hell,
though
man?
it's
It's
unfortunate,
fantasy football.
Man, no,
You just don't know.
It's just like NFL.
The Pats lost the Super Bowl and they're undefeated this season. They don't just
Shut up, Sean.
They don't just automatically win to the like I said.
No, you're right. You're right.
Every,
You're right.
every time I have a gray area where I don't really know what's the best decision, I try to base off what's real because
Yeah.
there's nothing realer than NFL after that.
Right, so what-
if Edison
If
has,
he was
I
hot,
got, you know,
if he was
So
hot in the
what's
season,
your
he should
decision?
have got the playoffs.
What would be your
so
decision?
the decision is
on
what
that.
happened. Basically, he got to the playoffs with one of the best records. and that specific week.
I got there by luck,
It's
right?
like,
No,
Okay.
bro, that's what happened. Exactly what happened.
Okay, I got there by luck. Okay.
And you took the
yeah,
number
so-
one seed.
and
So-
then, yeah, it happened. But in real life, it's week to week. In
The
real
Golden
life,
State
stuff
Warriors
happens.
in 08 or 09, was it? Beat the number one Mavericks.
So-
they weren't supposed to.
Golden
So
State Warriors
moving
had
forward-
the best NBA record that season and didn't win the title. It's
So can
happened
you
in so
say-
many sports.
So can you say, as commissioner, you made the decision, not in coordination with the NFL, is what I'm saying.
Well, in a
moving
sense,
forward.
I did what the NFL would have done. That he got to the playoffs hot, and he lost the first playoff game is a fluke. It happens in real life.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
how
I
would you?
followed what the NFL
Okay.
would have done.
So you would
normally.
follow the NFL
In a
moving
sense.
forward in this sense.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the
So,
NFL, we play
I think
fantasy
that's the way to
football
go.
because
That's the
they're
way to
the-
go.
You have to.
Yeah.
So because it's never happened in the NFL,
It never
because of
has.
what's happened,
So yeah. I mean,
how would you have determined that?
So you're
And
saying-
I know I'm not bringing up
Yeah,
stuff.
me personally, if what I would have done was I would have had the regular season play out and have instead of having the Pro Bowl, which nobody wants anymore, you have a week of buys. Just have that specific game, play an extra week of NFL to make the stats correct, and then start the playoffs and have if any of those two teams make the playoffs and they don't,
Yeah.
have
They
them be
both-
the last.
they
12
both gonna make
games
the
that
playoffs
play,
anyway.
You would
Okay.
get some rest
Okay.
regardless.
Okay.
There's always a week buffer. And
Yeah.
I mean, the Pro Bowl used to be after the Super Bowl, but nobody watched because the Super Bowl was over.
Not
So
before.
now they have before.
Not
which
before.
Now it's
Horrible.
Now it's a skills challenge.
Now
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
no
now it's
skills
Yeah, that's
a
all it is.
They want nobody
That's
to
all
get
it is.
But you know what, Sean? I agree, and I guess I didn't pay attention because I wasn't in the playoffs last year. I know you're right. That's how the NFL is. If those are hot going into the playoffs, you should have stayed high and won it. I get that. I get that. I
You
get
said the
that.
thing
That makes
is,
sense.
at the end of the day, if your team's good enough and you feel they are, you should be
voting.
confident to
Keep
beat
voting.
anybody.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
like the
I feel like
Warriors didn't
first-
go to the playoffs. They figured, oh well,
Screwball,
we're gonna
baby.
be
Peanut
like
butter
the
whiskey.
Nets. Nobody was worried about Brooklyn this year because their team fell apart.
I was just confused
So-
because I know he had I know Nice had won. They're like, so
Now,
he-
granted.
yeah, he didn't get any wins. What the hell? Then he was like, okay, we lost the playoffs. I'm like, okay,
Now, grant-
I
yeah.
get you.
That's why I'm
Now-
50
now-
50 on
Where
playoffs.
you get money for having the best record, but you're not. The thing is,
Because it's a lot of hard, honestly,
supposed
it's a
to
lot
be-
of hard work
yeah,
to get the best record in the regular
of
season.
course. The thing is, at the end of
And
the
then
day,
you don't get shit because in the playoffs,
yeah.
Right.
you get lost, you
So-
get beat in the first round.
So that would be something that the commissioners have to
So we have
determine.
to figure
Figure
think-
that out.
Now-
Because,
You
but
have
but
to
but
figure
you
that out.
cannot take
Because-
away.
Yes, yeah.
But you cannot take away the
But-
fact because it's happened in sports where the 8th seed has,
Beat the one
aka
seed,
this
yeah.
year in the NBA, Miami has destroyed all these people as an 8th seed,
Yeah.
and they've gotten to the championship
The
game.
real life variable I want to keep close as possible. So
Yes,
what
I'm
I
okay
should
with
have
that.
had, whereas Edison gets some money or whoever has the best record get a
Because in the
portion.
NFL,
But
you
that would
get,
have to be established
I want
at the
them to-
beginning of the season.
Exactly. So
yeah,
like
in the
I said, a change I
NFL,
need
you
to
get
make.
a title for your division.
Exactly.
You do.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't have 32
And
teams.
Sean's
Yeah,
defense,
you know what I
It
mean.
should be
You
where
know what I
the
mean.
person who wins the championship gets the big payout.
Yes.
Not the finals winner gets $200, and then the person who won the season gets $1,300.
But
It's like,
didn't you
No,
already
no,
win
that-
the
that-
Super
yeah,
Bowl?
no, no,
Wait,
definitely not.
isn't
Definitely not.
that shit already figured out?
well,
If you get
in
further,
totality,
if you
it
have a
should
great
be.
record at the end of the season, doesn't
When
it
we
get like
went
first
from-
half money, like second half
So
money?
it should be get your money
You
back.
already
Maybe
did
it should
that,
be
you know what
get
I'm
your money back. Best record, get your money back.
Thing is,
That problem's already solved.
As a-
Already solved that
well,
problem.
as a
It's
consolation.
yes and no.
Yes,
We
as your
switched
overall
from
record.
RT
What
to
if you-
As a consolation. So
we fixed some of those things, yeah.
going back to last year, so because I beat you,
Yeah.
you should at least, because your record, have a
Get-
consolation prize
of getting my money back.
of getting your money
Exactly.
back.
At least, at least.
I like that.
True,
I like
but it's the
that.
same thing as getting. You had
But isn't that
you
called-
had a
that's why
great
we call
record getting
upsets.
high in the week
Yes.
because The first couple weeks. No, I mean, first half money.
That's
Second
not, yeah,
half
I
money.
mean, yeah.
Your-
Me
your
personally,
record-
I feel like
but
the
then
first
you
half
technically
money
got
means
your money,
nothing. I
didn't
feel
you?
like we should just take it out.
Because you had the best record.
It's a
in
good
second
point.
half,
I like that.
Yes,
I
I
So
like
you
that.
technically got your money because you had
It's
the
like
best
the
record.
first
Yeah, but
half
that's
of the
just for
season
second
is not
half
complete.
record.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
For
I
my
mean,
overall
if you
record, I
did-
wasn't.
the
I was
NFL is
compensated for
always.
that.
Let's go first half of the season. NFL has always been first half. Let's see what we got as a team. Let's go win as many games as we can.
Yeah.
Now come after the the second
Thanksgiving.
half.
Usually
The
Thanksgiving.
second half is now, are we good enough to get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we move forward? Do we have the talent to move forward? Do we have the quarterback, the running back, the receivers? If you have that, and the person who has drafted those players, which in Edison's case
You know.
had, and he's playing against a person who just made the
Yeah, I
8 seed to come in.
I mean, he's had one
You know?
year where he had Travis Kelce, Tyreek, Mahomes, You had lights out season, and the Chiefs had one crap game in the playoffs, and you
He
lost,
shouldn't be penalized for
blew
that,
out.
basically.
Yeah.
You know,
Now,
and I agree
think-
with
yeah.
at a minimum,
I feel like he
because
should
of his
get-
record, he should get his money
Just
back.
something.
Something.
But I think the biggest payout should be the person who wins the whole thing.
Oh, of course, I
Yes.
agree with that.
Yes.
That's
Even
for sure.
because the word upset
sure.
in sports
It happens.
is huge.
It's
It
common.
happens.
It's common. It has to
happens.
happen. Yeah, it's
It
always
has to
happens.
happen.
Now, what you guys got going for you, now there's more to it. Now you get the money and you get the fucking money.
So I think I like the high per week. So then the guys that are 2-10 in week 13, and you want to give up because you're not going to make the playoffs.
Right.
You can
Win
still
by
say
the
your
week.
lineup, so you can still have something to work towards.
Correct.
In
Yes.
the past, it was like, oh well, I'm
Again-
2-7, so you want to
Again, that's why we
drop
do our
all your
leagues
players
that
and
way,
none of
so
it,
no
yeah.
one gives
I
up.
agree.
Yes.
No one gives up halfway
Yes.
through.
So I think
I'll
you should,
tell-
the first half season, just take that money out. And,
I agree.
and make
Yeah.
I like the high week to be a little less, maybe like $20 a week,
It is, you know, it's
and have maybe a
It's
third
25.
place
fun.
person.
25.
In a perfect world, I like the person that made the most points at the end of the year before playoffs
Get
gets
something,
some money. The
yes.
person with the best record gets
Yahoo
some money.
does
Oh,
that.
we could,
So
we
then
could always adjust
even
that
if
for
you
sure.
crap out
Yeah.
of the playoffs, you got some reward for doing a good season. Because
Exactly.
I've had in the past, my cousin did phenomenal until he got to the playoffs and either somehow didn't make it or somehow got there and he lost the first game.
But isn't that the
and it's like,
isn't
you suck,
that-
you get nothing.
So this is
I
why
mean
we.
that's
But
the
that's-
whole
this is why we
add
beautiful
different-
thing
I agree with my
about
father. That's the point.
sports.
That's the
I mean,
point of it.
I mean that's the
Alright.
Get
point.
there high, you should stay
You know,
fucking high.
get there, stay high, make your moves. You're an eighth seed, but you're coming in, you're drafting, you're bringing in players off the wire. You're trying to readjust your
Yeah, do
your
the
squad.
homework, yes.
You know, if
exactly.
you come in, if I'm doing my homework and bringing in players that I think are gonna come in, and I'm in the playoffs, I should not be, how would I say, I should not be in the point where it's deducted because I'm an eighth seed.
Yeah,
If I did my homework to beat the number 2 seed, I should
get rewarded.
I should get rewarded for
So
that.
Yeah, we can always adjust the payouts, but that's- We could always adjust the payouts, but that's why we always did our payouts different because it keeps everybody engaged all year.
You have to.
Real quick,
You have to.
the story I always tell to everybody: you
Yeah,
stay
that's
engaged
why-
all year is because one year, I remember this like like it was yesterday. Johnny went 1-7 first 8 weeks of the season. He thought the season was over. 1-7.
I kept
Now,
playing though.
Yeah.
he kept playing because there's a second half record you can go for.
Actually,
Yeah.
that catch with the injured women.
The second half, I remember this like
Past
yesterday,
2008, baby.
and I always tell everybody this story because it's true and we lived it. Second half, he went 7-1.
Yeah.
He won his money back. He didn't make the playoffs. Well, back then we didn't have playoffs, but we had just overall standings.
Yeah.
He finished in 5th,
Smashing cast.
but he was in last place. He finished in 5th, but he still got his money back. He didn't have to pay nothing for fantasy because
Yeah.
the second half of the season he went 7-1,
Yes.
and he got his 150 back.
Yes.
That's why we like doing different payouts.
Yes.
We could adjust the payouts for points. We could adjust the
It's-
payouts
it's-
for.
You have to
First
keep
half, second half,
you
everything.
have to keep you have to keep owners interested throughout the year.
the whole year. So
I
that's
mean,
how we
even
do
That's why
it.
we started
and-
doing
and-
paid football. I used to play
And
for
this is
free.
why
You could
I
give
like the fact that RT Sports has that, the pick'ems, because even if your
That's
if
an
your
add-
roster
yeah, that's
sucks,
add- that's added
the
money right there.
pick'ems come through as you can come in first or second. The way I used to set it up, that first, second, or third, or sometimes it's just first and
They're
second.
just 1 and
depending.
2, 1 and 2.
It was just 1 and 2 because the money piles up, and at
With
least to have this
transactions.
person say, "I'm 2-8, but my pick'ems I'm number 1."
It was
That
always-
makes up for
yeah,
almost
it was
half of
always-
what you have to
yeah,
play.
It was always 50%, 30%, 20%.
Yeah,
right?
50, 30, 20.
First, second, third.
And
Yeah.
and
I
that
mean,
It
keeps
used to be
You walk
70.
away
It used to be 70-30.
And the way people used to click on transactions, you used to, with 50%, you walk away with 200, 300 bucks.
For,
Easily.
for those that don't know,
Easily.
we used to
I
charge
mean, shit.
transactions. For those who don't know, it used to be 50 cents for a drop, 50 cents for a pickup player, and $1 for a trade.
Right, exactly.
So when all that happens, that's calculated throughout the year,
it adds up.
and whoever won the picks money would get those transaction
Yes,
dollars
and it would
from
easily
other players.
easily
And
amount
sometimes,
to.
what was the highest payout?
I
I
think
swear,
it's
I remember I did a
also-
payout.
I remember paying like a 56. Somebody owed like $56.
No, somebody owed like
It was
50 No, I'm
like
talking about
that.
somebody who won
No.
for picks. It was like
The winner was like
$175.
Yes.
I had
Yes.
to see one where somebody, okay, you got to give us $56 because you did so many transactions you made.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I
yeah.
I wouldn't mind paying $56 after my season of me doing trades to try and get back into.
Yeah,
the
you're
game.
trying to get into it. Yeah.
I would love to pay $56, even if I lost, and that's all I'm paying in return.
Get an extra chunk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bother me at all.
Yeah, but sometimes if you win high of the week, $25,
That adds
you don't
up.
have to pay for that.
That adds
Yeah,
up.
because
in
it takes
theory,
back
if
into
you
it.
have the
It washes out.
payment for transactions, you might think about, well, maybe I don't want to drop this receiver I'm probably not going to start to pick up another receiver I'm probably not going to start. Because now you're wasting real money on scrubs you're probably not going to play anyways.
Right.
It might calm it down on the waiver wire. So yeah, actually, not a bad
I
idea.
mean, as long as you keep
guys
it
have-
interesting throughout the
You
year.
guys have time to knock out those kinks and shit? You know, but
I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You got 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks at least.
3
more
weeks.
than that.
Add 'em, add 'em.
No, it's
Draft
more than
is
that, but
the
I
end of
want to
August.
keep it
You got
short
6
and sweet.
weeks, though. It's July 15th.
True.
No, it's
6
early.
weeks.
It's
At
early.
least 6.
It's
Now,
early.
if it was August 15, I'd be in a panic. But
No.
Nah,
6
you,
weeks.
you
We
got
got enough
time,
time.
and you got my vote. My vote is there to go into this new route.
Now, real quick,
I like it.
someone outside of this circle right here, if you listen to this podcast and you join the league, you will get $25 off. I will cover the $25. You come in at the league at $125. I want to see who's listening all the way through. You're buying this $125. So if you listen to this, say the code word is Hefty Baller. You say the code word Hefty Baller when you're trying to buy in, $25 off. Just saying.
Vouch for that. Vouch for that.
$25 bucks.
Absolutely.
So you're scratch that. $50. Your buy-in would be $100 outside this group. Don't tell Ryan. That's not fair. don't tell Hobie either. That's not fair. So anybody outside this group who joined the league, $50 voucher. You heard this part right here, Hefty Baller. Boom, $50 off of your buy-in.
I like that. I like
So
that.
if
I
you're
like
joining
that.
in, listen to this podcast, $50 off. Hefty Baller is the code word. Let me know. Let Jay know. Let Sean know. I was gonna say, let Pop Dukes know, but he's not on Facebook yet. We're gonna change that. We're gonna change that.
I'm not on Facebook, folks, but I'm everything else, but I'm not on Facebook.
Old age, technology,
No,
that little mix.
I don't like Facebook.
Well, maybe you could get Messenger.
But you
and
can
not
text
Facebook.
me all you want.
You could get Messenger.
You can
Facebook
send me an
Messenger.
email if you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Say, if
So
you're
we
listening
send
all the way through-
Telegram, Morse code.
If you're listening all the way through, that's the code word, Hefty Baller.
Hey,
Get
listen,
$50
Morse
off your
code,
buy-in.
I'm pretty good with that too.
That'd be awesome.
Binary. You got-
If I hear 5 beeps and a dash,
Yeah.
that means you're good.
definitely a lot on the table.
So
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun. We gotta set a date, but we're gonna have all the food here: chicken, burgers, dogs, beer for sure, plenty of it. Live drafts is the best.
A lot of people pick on
Cigars.
each other.
Always
so
the
no-
best,
no
always
Jarvis
the best.
Landry in the fourth
I mean,
round.
a fantasy football
Exactly,
draft to
Craig.
me online
Edwin.
is not even half the fun.
Exactly.
You personally at someone's house having the cookout, the beer, like
food.
the man said. I mean, that's the best way to do it. That's the way I've been doing it for years. I just having to get acclimated to not being available and doing it online. It's not the same.
No, it's
not
not.
the same.
Real quick, the
Not the
spreads we've had over the years of food. What has been your favorite? Real quick, before we end it right here, because I want to do a part 2 of who we think is going to be good in fantasy this year, because that's a whole nother show that we could talk about forever. But before we end this one right here, for live drafts, what has been your favorite spread of food?
Mine would be taco spread. Everything.
Big J's meatballs.
Taco spread. Everything on the taco,
I don't know, I had-
a.k.a. burrito. Burrito
Okay,
from hell.
no, those are good.
The burrito from hell.
Those are
One
good.
year
Yeah.
we had some big turkey legs or chicken legs, the huge ones. I remember one year I had some
Alright.
kielbasa and some barbecue beans. A little mix up was pretty good. Anything in the crock pot, basically. So.
Nice.
No,
nice.
baked beans are underrated, man. Like,
Yeah, oh
they're
yeah.
slept
Let me
on.
tell you.
Baked beans on a hot dog, on a
From-
kielbasa, whatever it is.
From this side
So
of the
slept on.
family, baked beans are nothing short but extraordinary.
Now, I gotta say, one of my favorites was when I was younger. I went to one of yours, Pops, with Joy.
Mm.
If I remember correctly, it was... I want to say a soup one.
It was-
It was something Asian.
It was full boss. It was full soup.
Full soup,
Yeah.
like buffet,
Yes.
of whatever the hell you want to add in your beef soup.
Yes. It was the best.
It was freaking amazing.
It was
I
the
gotta
best.
tell you, it was freaking amazing. And whatever you could add whatever you wanted to add in there was there.
Was there.
Big J's
Fresh.
meatballs.
Chicken,
Fresh. Chicken. The broth was the broth itself. Where
it was so good.
he had 3 different broths, chicken, beef, and pork,
Yeah,
that were cooked for at least 8 hours. He started at 5 in the morning.
yeah.
And
We
the
got there
table
about
with
12
all the
o'clock.
trimmings that you wanted to add to this soup. It
Oh,
was the best. It was
I
the
think
best.
that was the day I fell in love with full soup.
I mean,
Vietnamese beef soup.
when you
It
have
was
the
so good.
food, the camaraderie, the football jargon, I mean,
The
everything
jokes,
just
the
comes
jokes,
together. The
yeah.
jokes.
People making fun of your picks.
It was
Exactly.
the best.
It was awesome.
It
It was so good.
It was the best. And that was a good intro for these guys.
Yeah.
You know, coming from my standpoint as a father.
I don't know
to
if that was
introduce them. It was
I don't
the
know.
best.
I don't know if that was the
The
same
best.
draft. We took Frank Gore as a rookie.
Yes. that was
Everybody
the one.
laughed at us. Remember
Yes.
Johnny?
Yep.
Me and Johnny owned the team.
Yep.
We split a team, and Frank Gore was one of our first picks. Everybody laughed at us.
Rookie. Rookie.
And they were
coming
laughing
out.
at us. That was like 05, I think.
First player.
He was a
04,
rookie.
05.
He was a rookie.
Everybody laughed at us. I was like, this dude's going to be a monster. And that first year in San Fran was insane.
The
he
best.
went, he
They don't
went
make
nuts.
running backs like that anymore.
Yeah,
No.
they don't.
No. They don't.
But
And
that spread was like amazing. Now, well, we do the basic now. Let's do burgers, hot dogs, baked beans.
well, I got
chicken
enough,
on the grill.
I've been to a number
We can
of
change it out.
drafts.
Every year we do it different. Johnny brings his meatballs, like
Yeah.
you said, Big J's meatballs.
Yep. I've been to several.
They are good.
and they're the best. They're
Real
the
quick,
best.
you ever try to make it with a jam?
No.
The grape
No,
jelly
I-
jam.
Bro,
No.
no,
I heard
honestly,
those are good.
I use marinara.
no,
Really good. I heard
No,
the
I
grape
know,
jelly.
you
The
use
grape
marinara,
jelly
yes.
are the best.
try it with a grape jam. I
Yeah.
swear on everything. That's so good.
You know,
I add it to your recipe. I'm telling you,
you try to
it's
make
so
the
good, man.
Strawberry jelly?
the food part
Either or grape jelly, either
of
or.
the
It's so good, man. I'm
draft
telling you.
itself. Because if the food is good, everybody's jubilant, everybody's happy. You know, they make good.
Yeah, I think
The
Lee
food-
you know,
got
everyone's
24
happy
food is
when
the
there's
best.
food
The
around.
food won't hit unless the conversation's lit. If the conversation sucks, ain't nothing.
No, but sometimes it could be reversed. It could be flipped. If the food's lit, it's gonna start the conversation.
Yeah,
It can start it up.
it was good. It was good. Sometimes I had venison.
we're not gonna
I had
serve
venison
just-
chili, venison sausages, something to
Bring it on
get your
the-
taste buds
Yeah.
going. Wow,
We're
this
not.
is pretty.
We're not
this
gonna
is
just
different.
do
You know,
fish and chips or chips and dip
Or
and
burgers and
popcorn.
dogs.
Yeah, burgers and dogs. We always mix it up with something different.
you gotta try something different.
gotta have some rice. You
I
gotta
mean,
have
if
some,
you want to
So
make
this
it
year,
memorable.
Let's just do,
some pernil.
let's do burgers and thoughts.
No.
Well, that's
If we're gonna have, if it's a big if, we're gonna have 24 people here for a draft, for two separate draft pools.
We won't do pressure hot dogs. We do ballparks.
hey, listen. With 24 people at a
Nathan's hot
draft,
dogs.
I am
Nice.
looking so much forward to it right now as I
Well, it's
sit
gonna be
here
fun.
because I've never been part of a 24 team league, and it would
Oh, it's
would
gonna
be
be fun.
so awesome.
That
that
message board is gonna be lit.
Let's bring food that is different, food that would
Down for
entice
it. I'm down for
the conversation. You know, something
What kind
different.
of quiche, though?
And let's go. I'm
Oxtail.
good.
Potato?
I'm
Don't
good.
miss Kirsch name.
I'm good. I'll bring pizzle. I'll bring
No,
pizzle.
bring gnocchi. That
Do,
shit
do
is
we all
good
know
as
what
shit.
pizzle is? Does anybody know what
Gnocchi?
pizzle
How you
is?
say it? How do you say it?
I'm gonna
It's
make
gnocchi, yeah.
Gnocchi.
It's
So
basically
you
potato
make
mixed with
bang and
pasta.
gnocchi. No hold.
That
Sounds weird. Sounds
Listen.
weird, but make it gnocchi. That's
That
so
gnocchi is
good.
really good, but I can make some pizzle too.
I'm gonna make
Does,
this.
it,
I'll
does,
make
it,
this with sponsor sauce.
does anybody here know what pizzle is?
I don't.
Okay, pizzle is something I can't say on the air,
A pizzle.
but it is an Asian dish.
Sounds hot.
It's made with, I don't know if I tell you what the pizzle is, you probably will not think
Never
that it's
mind.
hot.
I don't think I want it.
But when the Asians make it, which I've had it before,
Yeah.
unforgettable. It's very good. It's very original. And this is what I mean about when we get together for a fantasy football draft, you want to have food that is memorable.
Different. Yeah. Exactly.
Memorable.
You remember
Hey, I
the
remember
draft.
that draft. I drafted so-and-so, but I also remember the dish I had.
Exactly.
You know?
That's why I remember that full buffet.
Yes.
It was a full buffet. You got the broth, and you can put whatever you want in it and
Barbecue
eat it.
bags down
Yeah, drip chicken.
Which kind, though?
in
Because if you,
gold, one or two for
oh, those are trash.
Just
The
look up
Southwest
what
one
pizzle
good.
is.
Yeah,
You probably won't want it.
Well, it's a lot of different choices. This year we're gonna mix it up. Something good. I would love it.
I'm ready. I'm good to go with it. 24 teams. Let's go.
All right,
out the
remember-
game.
Before
I'm good.
we,
Remember,
I had
though-
another idea that I thought about. I don't know if it will work.
Shoot it
but-
out. Shoot it out. We're
So
all
I-
before ideas. This is all
so,
discussion.
Like the real NFL, they have draft pick trading. And I'm not talking about the draft order where you draft first or second. Because usually, if you take McCaffrey first overall and you draft Barkley number 5,
Who would do
it's
that?
not going to be that much different.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Have you met
Draft-
Lee?
They will
Have you
draft
met Lee
Barkley
Baller?
the first pick.
But
Barkley?
draft pick trading, as in, we're halfway in the season, your team's not that good. So you're like, all right, let me salvage this season by trading away my good players to somebody else for their picks in the future. For example, this draft comes, let's say I'm 2-8, and I have a decent squad, I lost a lot of games. I could be like, all right, I want to talk to Hovey and say, yo, I'll trade you Dalvin Cook and maybe something else
For your first round next
for your
year.
first round pick next year.
Oh my
Now, if you
God.
agree,
That's tough, but you gotta write that shit down.
so
Keep that shit.
now what I would do is,
That's what I was gonna go with.
if he accepts the trade, now the thing is, because what people can do is you can trade your future picks to this current season, and then now want to play the other seasons you don't pay for. So what you would have to do is every season
You have
you're
to lock
trading
it.
into, you have to pay for it. So let's say,
Yeah, you have to lock it.
like I said,
You
just
have
an
to guarantee
idea,
your spot.
crazy. Okay, now if I took, let's say I have Austin Eckler, and my team is garbage, but I have a few good players. I could say, yo, Lee, I'll trade you Austin Eckler for your first round pick next year. If he agrees, then I have to prepay for that season, and so does he, so we know we don't bail out for the future.
Yeah.
Now, the next year comes,
You got 2 first round picks.
and then if I'm in my draft order, if I'm number 2, and let's say I pick McCaffrey, and then Lee's supposed to be number 7, then I also pick a 7, and I could take like Eckler, and then at the end of the draft, that spot that Lee didn't pick, he'll just pick somebody out of the free agent pool. So it'd be like real life where, yo, I want to trade Giannis away and get 3 first rounders to the
Oh my
Bucks, and you
God,
could build
bro.
your future team.
No, I can't do that. No, I can't
But
do
it-
that.
it sounds-
That
No,
now
no.
you're talking.
Speaking-
Now you're tapping into
It sounds-
the,
Dynasty leagues.
Dynasty
Dynasty
leagues.
leagues.
Yeah.
I can't
It
do
sounds
Dynasty
it
leagues.
sounds so fire.
No, it sounds
But
great.
there's a lot of
but that's
remembering,
Dynasty
and there's a
league,
lot of
and I cannot do that. I
You
cannot
guys
do
are-
Dynasty.
there's gonna be a lot of
Well,
reluctance
the thing
to
is,
that.
remember, you're not going to keep your squad. It's only those
Those
transactions.
players.
Yes.
So now, like I said,
Right.
for trades to happen is you need to convince somebody else the players that they have are good, that you think they're good. You have to convince them they're not, and the stuff that you have you want to give away, you got to let them know that they're good.
So it's owner on
trades
owner.
are-
Of course,
Trades are hard to happen in regardless because people want to give away, Chosen Anderson and 3 scrubs in their bench to get, Derrick Henry, which never happens. Which you like to be greedy, but doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
the only thing it would change, so let's say if I'm like, all right, my season's almost over, I don't think I'm gonna make it, but like real NFL, you could be, I want to get just like that just happened. Texans just traded for a linebacker and the edge or whatever. Now Cardinals gonna have 2 first round picks next year. So if I have a point of the season, like there's been seasons where you have Jonathan Taylor last year, is you picked him first overall, he did nothing. You can be like, man, I'm 2-6. I feel like on my roster, I'm not gonna go anywhere this year. I can try to make another year stacked and help somebody now. The next year, I'll be like, I could have the 2nd pick overall and take McCaffrey, and then I could have pick number 7 that was Lee's because I traded him equity before.
That's
No,
all
you know
I
what-
said.
yeah,
That,
no.
that can only
position.
happen if you know that everybody will be back the following
Yes.
year.
But that's why you
But
make
people
your
like
pay.
people like that would be back every year.
Exactly.
The only
And like I
issue,
said,
the
that's
only
how.
issue I have with
How?
that
How?
is they're gonna
You
forget.
make them So if I was gonna make a trade with Johnny, like, my team's garbage.
You have to pay
I'll-
now for that.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you have to
prepay
do.
for the seasons you're trading into. So it's like it's a guarantee work because I'm like, I'll trade Johnny all these good players, and then next year he's like, all right, I'll give you all these picks. And the next year he doesn't draft because his good team's garbage. He won't do that if he prepays for the season. He'll be like, I'll give you Dalvin Cook right now for your next year's first or 2nd round pick. Then we come to that draft, and if pick order is 2 and my pick order is 7, then where I'm supposed to pick, he picks because he has the draft pick from me. At the end of the draft, I'm going to have one missing slot. Then I'm just going to
So you
pick
gotta
whoever's
swap
the
players.
favorite. So you swap picks.
That sounds tough, but for
So
real,
now, if-
I mean, in my opinion,
Like I said, just a theory.
yeah. It sounds like I said, it sounds tough. Well, you're already introducing one new thing.
Yeah.
Let's do this 24 team league. Let's see what happens. And I do like that picture. That sounds tough.
So I'm saying,
Let's try
No,
to
it
do
sounds
that.
fun, but you're
theory,
gonna
now.
get people that's gonna be like, I forgot about that trade.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing
So
is,
yeah,
why can I
And
get?
then what if
Okay,
this
what if you get the
player?
number 1 pick?
What if this player says,
What
"I
if you
didn't
get
like
the
the
number 1
league.
pick?
I'm not coming
You
back."
go-
What
That's
happens
why you
after that?
so
Then you gotta give up your number 1 pick.
now, if I trade Johnny Dalvin Cook for a first round pick next year, then
Yeah.
before that trade happens this year, we have to prepay for the seasons we're buying into. So,
Which
for
is
example,
fine. That's easy.
So now next year, Johnny's gonna have a 2nd first round pick because I got Cook this year, but we're both already paid for that season. Now somehow you still bail out, then you wasted $150 for nothing. So that's your problem.
That's
Then
on that player,
We'll
which is
fix
fine.
that the season it comes. But you would assume if I want to pay $150 to get a Dalvin Cook now to give him my pick next year, then I'm obviously going to play that season because I already paid for it.
What if he says I'm not coming back next year?
Well, that's why you
That's
pre-
That's why. In order to agree,
You gotta pay. You gotta pay that money
order
up
to
front.
agree
What I'm
to
saying
it,
is
you
we
gotta
both
pay ahead.
pay. So if I let's say I have Eckler and I trade it to Johnny week 8 for his first round pick next year, before that trade
Not a
is
bad
I
idea.
pay my 150 for next year, and he prepays his 150 for next year, so we're both guaranteed to play next year.
Where does
Yeah.
that money go?
Well, you
It
can
goes to the
pot
it goes to the
until-
commissioner.
No, next year's
Commissioner
Goes to the next year's
commissioner
pool.
holds it.
So
Yes.
basically, you're paying for the,
For the
Your
service.
you're paying
for
for
next
your
year.
word that you're going to play.
Yeah,
next
for your
year.
word.
Now, granted,
Yeah.
if I pay him, if I put $150 bet,
I think that's too much money
for next
applied to something that hasn't happened yet, which is next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
But
things
it would-
happen, life happens.
Well, yeah,
Sometimes they can't.
Understood.
You know, I think
Then at
that.
that point,
I think we need to cut it there. You know, we can't go that far
Yeah,
yet.
like I said, with just an idea.
We
Because
can't.
Yeah,
No,
it
it's a
would-
great idea. If
It
you
is a
have
good idea.
every year you got the same 12 every year for the past 4 or 5 years, you got every 12.
Oh,
then you can go there, but
yeah.
you don't have
Well,
that.
that's the
right now.
goal. I would
Yeah,
like to
we-
get at
You,
least.
you don't have that.
If we had 210s, like I said, I would love 20 would be great. At 24 might even be pushing it. If I could have 20 people meet in person on lock, even if we had one guy call over the phone, or 2 it might happen, which I don't mind because we have plenty of time. The 2 of 10 or having 20 would be great to have people lock every year. Because like in real life, you have week 3 and you say, oh man, you know, we can have like bulletins like real life, like yo, Johnny wakes up at 5 a.m. He said, yo, the commissioner posted in the Facebook group that last night, yo, Edison traded his first round pick for next year so you can have Alston Eckler this year. And everybody wakes up like real ESPN News. And
Yeah,
you can
that's
post
kinda tough.
bulletins like
I like
ESPN.
that.
They say,
That's kinda
"Yo, I
fire.
should
That's
be,
kinda
yo,
fire."
Yo, last minute,
I mean-
yo, my buddy Greg and my brother, yo, last minute. Yo, he traded.
That's kind of fire. I like it. But
Listen, man.
I'm
there'll be
saying,
something to be like, because if you give up your first round pick, right? You're thinking I'm gonna get 5 to 12, wherever the case is, 5 to 10, 5 to 12.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I
not
don't
if they
care.
draft order, you know.
Well, let's say the next year comes up, since we do our picks live
Live.
Yeah.
a couple days before, a couple weeks before.
A
what if
couple
we get-
weeks before?
Sometimes
No.
it's
I'm
occasional.
saying, well,
I mean, if
Just,
we're gonna have,
just,
if we're gonna,
just an example,
Okay.
and then you get the number 1 pick,
yeah, that's
and
that's
then
what
you
makes it awesome.
then you're instantly bummed out. Boom! I lost my number 1 pick because I traded with this
because
guy
of
year.
last year's issue.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but you
Yeah,
would
that's
obviously
the
know,
situation,
but that's
yes.
what makes it crazy. So now, if you don't know your
That's
draft
why
order till the year of, there could be a chance where Johnny has number pick 1 and 2 because.
But he
got
loses
that
it
draft-
because he
There's a
made a
chance.
deal with me
Yeah, but
or
that's
whoever.
that's the price you pay. You
Yeah.
don't know
But the
right now.
reward is
You know.
the reward is he gets number 1, you get number 2, so he gets 1 and 2.
Yeah, it would be
So
nuts.
it's rare,
Like
but it can
NFL.
happen.
Yeah.
I like it, but a lot of people won't like it.
Nah,
A
Nah,
lot of
it's,
people won't like it, for sure.
it's too much.
It's a lot. Like I said,
It's
too
a
much
lot
chance.
financially
Too much chance, yeah.
going down the
like
road.
I said,
You know,
there's barely trades happening.
finances are tied a lot.
So it would have to be
You know
an
what I mean?
agreement with the people trading. That's not a collusion with the league, and at the same time, you prepay. So I know, yo, if Casey doesn't want to play next year and he already dropped 150,
How about this?
That's a free 150
No,
next
how
year.
about-
How about
day-
this?
how about
It's
same
an
day
option.
drafts?
How about this?
Yeah.
It isn't legit yet, but it's an option.
Like you said, it just
No,
It's an
yeah,
option.
it's always
it's
option.
food for
Leave
thought
it
for
as
the
an
future.
option.
We're trying to-
where,
we're trying to
hey,
improve
listen,
in all aspects.
I
Like I
think
said,
I like this,
every year is your life
and I'm gonna
work,
try this
you
or
know?
want to try this, but
They still make
let's
it
do this. Let's do this trade with whoever.
Yeah.
And it's an option. Here you go. Here's the money, and it's an option for next year. Now, what if this person or whoever happen?
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Well, of course.
You
Yeah.
always worry about shit happens. The backup plan is what?
Well, do we cross that bridge when we get there?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
Just like the NFL does. They
Exactly.
do that same thing all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You never thought
But
you were going to stop
I
a
like
game
the
for a heart
option.
attack
I
and
like the
everything.
Yeah,
option.
exactly. For
I like
cardiac
the option.
arrest, yeah.
You know, I choose that. Hey,
the thing
I'm
is,
gonna
you
trade
can
so and so, and then I think for next year, I'll pay this, and then we'll go
Like I
forward.
said, it
with it.
wouldn't be a dynasty league, like, because you don't keep the whole roster.
But you know, we're leading to.
Just a pick
We're
or
leading
two.
toward that.
Well, in the
With,
theory,
with,
yeah.
with
We're
stuff
leading
like that,
toward
you
it.
lead
Because
toward
I have
it.
some
Well,
where
I kind of don't want it.
Their
I don't-
new draft-
Dynasties. Like,
They
I
only
can't do
draft the
dynasty.
yeah, I'm not a fan.
The
Because
doc-
I'm not a fan.
I'm in the Yahoo League that the doctors they do a dynasty. It's $250 to get in, right? And those guys been in for like 10 years.
yeah, you could
I've been
draft
trying to get
Diggs
in there
and then not
forever,
like him
right?
the year after.
Yeah.
But it's a dynasty, and
they got
dynasty
guys you
is
can't even touch.
you can't touch. It's
Yeah,
like
that-
it's
that-
like horrible.
That's so annoying.
you
Yeah,
know?
I don't
Like I
know.
said, I like the pick idea without the you draft Diggs 2 years ago, and now Devontae Adams goes to a different team and he doesn't produce, then it's like, well, I don't want this guy anymore, and I can only draft a new rookie. So, yeah, I don't want to keep the whole squad.
I want to stay away from dynasty as much as I can.
Yeah,
We'll stay
Let's
away.
do
I don't want to do
fresh
dynasty
every year.
whatsoever.
Just a
every
pick
year.
thing, I was just thinking, like, if you came to a point where it's like you thought about giving up the league, then you could really make a stacked team for the year after, and someone that has a good chance, like, yo, now next year I can have 2 picks in the first round, like real NFL. There's a good chance that, what's his name, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams are going to both go to Arizona if they tank of the season. And they're already so excited for the next season, they're probably not even worried about this one except tanking. So,
and then what if that player gets hurt for the season that you think he's gonna play?
like I said,
Oh,
just,
God.
You know,
There's so many variables.
There's
It's
so many.
Like I said, just another crazy
But
thing I had.
but
That's just an option. That's just an
I
option.
cannot say that I'm not up for it because it's an option. And like I said before, fantasy football has evolved, and we've come to this level here where we can draft yearly, or now we're looking at, we're even talking about drafting for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, now we're inching
rough.
toward dynasty,
Yeah, it would just be
which
like
is
that's
which
rough.
is, you know what it is our fantasy football heads
Yeah.
that we are
like I
are
said,
thinking more in depth,
think ahead of time.
more in depth, and I like it. But right now, I don't think
It's
we're
too much
ready
to
for
handle,
it.
So we gotta wean
But I
everybody
like
in.
the option.
We will.
The option
We
to
will.
start.
Alright,
To
so
start.
now we have that set in stone, 24 teams, and the creative Facebook page, right? We get everybody in, we get everybody's opinion. And obviously, we're gonna have maybe 2 or 3 more podcasts before the draft starts to talk about whether,
Oh, we definitely will.
whether it's set in
Definitely will.
stone, whether we're gonna go from here. And I don't know, maybe we'll do a podcast right after the draft to see the sleeper picks and all that stuff. Maybe
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
have
no.
you know?
Yeah.
Great.
I'm thinking of doing a live.
show.
I'm thinking of doing a live show.
Great
Maybe-
show.
Maybe we'll
Great
have
show.
a podcast with everybody who played that league talks and have something to say about their team. Maybe we never know.
That sounds like a great idea.
Great
Come down
show.
here, talk about it real quick.
We talked about
I like
Sean's
it.
idea.
I like it.
Let's let it go. Sean, listen, you got great ideas.
We'll hash it on Facebook.
Listen, like I'm saying, we'll talk about it. The next
Let's do it. Maybe
next couple
co-creator.
shows,
We
we'll
good.
talk about it again to see where everybody else is at. Because we're all on board with it.
Yeah,
But
like I said,
there's a lot of opinions out there. So.
And there might be another good idea that's out there that
No, we
none
don't
of us
know
thought
yet.
of.
Exactly.
Like
So
I said, the Facebook will, time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can figure that
If I
part out.
leaning in with one
Invite
defensive
everybody who we
player
want to
and
invite.
make it-
Yeah.
Because Hovey said, I have 2 linebackers and 2 corners, and I think it's, even though I would love to have an all-defensive league and have no offense, then you really do your homework on, a second
Oh
string.
my God,
Yeah,
that's
and-
gonna be
and
rough.
listen,
That's gonna be
and-
rough.
and- that
it's a
is-
stretch, but it's a great idea. I mean, it's
And
just
like that, even if you
and-
did $10 or $20 a person and you have 8 or 10 starters, it's all defense, and you
That's
can
rough.
kind of see how the point system really goes.
Yeah.
You have a league to
Yep.
kind of, get your feet wet. It's still an idea.
I think we're due to move to the next level. We've been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
for
we're
sure.
due for the
It's a
next
step in
level.
the right direction. It's a
Yeah.
step in the
Yeah.
right
Like I said,
direction.
I'm
Yeah.
not here to fix what's not broken. At the same time,
Let's
like I
add
said,
to it. Let's add to it.
every year they're making a
You're
Yeah.
making it greater. You're
Yeah.
making it greater.
Yeah.
You got to make it
Now
greater.
that we heard
Yeah.
your opinion, we got it on record. We heard your
Yeah,
opinion,
yeah.
so we know what the hell is
There's a
going
lot
on.
more upstairs,
So, real quick, that's what we're going to end it right there, everyone. If you're listening right now, remember, Hefty Baller is the code word. You let me know that. You let Big J know that. You let Sean know that. $50 off your next entrance. All right? Let me know. We got you. $50 off your next entrance. $100 to buy in a $150 league. That's a great deal, in my opinion. That's a great deal
Great
for
deal.
what we're trying to do.
Great deal.
Because the champion.
But listen, you got to remember, mention Hefty Baller, and you get $50 off your interest in fantasy.
Exactly.
So that means, obviously, means you listen up to this point in the podcast.
And we love it. We appreciate you.
So, $50 off. You mention Hefty Baller in the comments.
In the league, you're going to get NFC title, you're going to get AFC title, and the Super Bowl winner will get a ring. We're doing rings
Yeah,
this
we're
year.
doing fantasy rings this year, everybody. So
Engraved rings,
engraved team name, whatever is in
whatever you want on it, that's what's going to happen.
Every year, you can brag about it.
I'm with
That's
it.
what we're doing.
I'm
So
with
every
it.
draft after that, you can bring your ring to the draft. And you're going to show off.
Carry if you
Yeah.
go to Wild Wings and you're sitting there.
Exactly.
You're
You're
gonna
gonna show off
bring a
your-
trophy for some
you're gonna
My
show
name will
fancy
fit.
ring.
It's just 3 letters. P.O.P. Perfect.
So,
Who
Sean,
said you're going to win, though? I don't know. I mean, Lee's going to say he's going to win. I doubt it, but
Hey, I'm striving for P.O.P. right on the ring, baby.
Sean,
Hey.
Bob, this is great having you guys on. Great opinions. Obviously, you guys will be back for more. You guys know what you're talking about, fantasy, football, the whole thing's none. Great combo today, guys. And
make sure you guys check it out. We are on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on Google Podcasts.
iHeartRadio.
We're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. We're on Spreaker. Download it. Show us some love. We appreciate it from everyone. Until next time, peace.
Peace.